Chapter 355. Yun Luofeng had already made her preparations to fight Xiao Yuqing. Who would have thought that he would say this in such a carefree manner? Instantly, a disdainful smile appeared on her peerlessly beautiful face. A concubine is a concubine. Not only did she ascend as a concubine, she even wanted to harm the Xiao family's first son to strengthen your position in the Xiao family. But I never thought that such a shameless person could become the mistress of the Xiao family. Isn't the Xiao family afraid of being humiliated? Hearing Yun Luofeng's words, the Xiao family guards were enraged. They pulled out their weapons and were about to teach her a lesson. However, they had only taken a few steps when Xiao Yuqing raised her hand and stopped the guards. Do you have a grudge against the Xiao family? Xiao Yuqing's gaze was as cold as moonlight. It poured down on her body, but she could not feel any warmth. Or are you related to my father's mistress? Apologies, I'm just a person who likes to stand up for injustice. Yun Luofeng smiled coldly. Her arrogant eyes contained a stern aura. I can't bear to see the Xiao family bullying the weak. That's why I couldn't control myself and stood up for injustice. Xiao Yuqing's expression grew even colder. Her clear eyes stared coldly at Yun Luofeng as she slowly said, "You haven't even figured out the truth yet you're standing up for injustice? My mother may have been my father's mistress, but she was the first to meet my father and fall in love with him. Unfortunately, that woman took away my mother's servant girl. My mother is kind by nature and treats her servant girl like a sister. That's why my mother was forced to leave my father just now to save her servant girl's life. Yet you say that this is all my mother's fault? Did you experience this personally?" Yun Luofeng glanced sideways at Xiao Yuqing. Her eyes were filled with mockery. Xiao Yuqing shook her head. My mother told me. Also, the entire spirit realm knows about this. So if you haven't figured out the truth, don't speak to avoid trouble. Yun Luofeng sneered in her heart. She had not thought that Xiao Yuqing's mother would distort the truth for her own reputation. She pushed all the blame onto Yun Xiao's mother. After all, compared to Xiao Yuqing, she trusted Yun Xiao more. I think the one who really doesn't understand is you. Yun Luofeng stretched lazily, his slightly narrowed eyes shining with an evil light. Go back and tell your mother, if you don't want people to know, then don't do it. The things she has done will be exposed to the light one day. Kindness? If that woman was kind, then there would be no evil people in this world. Not only had she pushed Yun Xiao's mother away, she had even thrown the young Yun Xiao into a place like the forest of no return. Would a person who could do such a thing sacrifice his own happiness for a servant girl? The answer was impossible. Now, every time she thought of the pain Yun Xiao had suffered, she would have the urge to chop him into 8 pieces. Found it. Just as the two of them were about to clash, the little old man suddenly let out a maniacal and excited laugh. Haha, I had forgotten that I had stuffed the jade tablet into the sole of my shoe. Now I've finally found him. Brat, you still don't dare to come in? Open the door for this old man. The old man raised his head proudly, his disdainful gaze sweeping towards the 2 guards guarding the door. What did you say just now? This old man snuck into spirit realm to steal rare materials and treasures? Hurry up and come over here, open your dog eyes and see what this thing in this old man's hand is. Chapter 356. The guard who had just mocked did not think that the little old man really had an entry token and stilled. The other guard was calmer. He did not even look at the little old man and said coldly, regardless of whether you have an entry token, you must let young Master Xiao through the door. Spirit Realm's entry tokens are also divided into ranks. Whoever's rank is higher will have the priority to enter Spirit Realm. The little old man frowned, his voice clearly angry. That boy tricked me? I came to Spirit Realm to treat him and was refused entrance. Not just that, he wants me to make way for someone else. Ever since this old man's name shook the continent, I have never been treated like this. Yun Luofeng looked at the golden jade token in the little old man's hand. You hid this jade token under your feet. Do you not feel uncomfortable? Also, this jade token is so uncomfortable, you can't feel it? The little old man, who had originally been angry at the guard's words, immediately blushed when he heard Yun Luofeng's voice. He said embarrassedly, I was indeed too careless. I was worried that I would accidentally lose the jade pendant, so I hid it under my feet. The guard frowned slightly and looked coldly at the old and young blocking the door. He said impatiently, "Have you said enough? If you have, then go to the side. Did you not see that young Master Xiao has been waiting here for a long time?" In Spirit Realm, there was a rule. The higher the jade token, the higher the qualification to enter. This was a symbol of status and power. If someone else were to enter first, it would be equivalent to being dwarfed. This was something that no powerhouse would want to happen. The little old man knew this. With his temper, how could he be willing to be lower than others? Therefore, he straightened his body, raised his head and said, "On this continent, only others give way to me. I have never given way to others. If I give in today and this matter spreads out, where do you want me to put my face? Your reputation is comparable to that of the Xiao clan's young master." The guard wanted to continue mocking him, but suddenly he saw the golden jade token in the old man's hand, and his face froze. Golden jade token? This old man held the noblest golden jade token in all of Spirit Realm? But wasn't the golden jade token only given out by that faction? Could it be that this old man was someone invited by that faction? The little old man did not understand why the guard had suddenly stopped talking, and he could not help but look at him in puzzlement. "What did you want to say just now?" The guard quivered and came back to his senses. He and his companion looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. "Senior," the guard no longer dared to show the contemptuous attitude he had before and quickly turned to face the little old man respectfully. "I have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai earlier and have offended the senior. I ask for senior's magnanimity to forgive me." The little old man was stunned, his eyes filled with astonishment. It was obvious that he did not know the reason for the guard's sudden change in attitude. "Do you have a fever?" Just a moment ago, he had been acting all high and mighty, but now he was bowing and scraping? Other than being sick, the little old man could not think of any other reason. The guard laughed embarrassedly. "I just did not notice the jade token in your hand and did not know which faction you are from. Old senior, I will open the door and let you in now." Only then did the little old man come to a sudden realization. He said in understanding, "So that fellow didn't cheat me. The jade plate he gave me was a grade higher than the Xiao clan's. Otherwise, if he wanted me to make way for the Xiao clan's brat, I would definitely turn around and leave." Chapter 357. The guard's heart trembled. He was clearly frightened. It seemed that this little old man was really someone invited by that power. From his words, he could tell that he was here to cure his illness. If he really angered him and left, he might be torn to pieces by that power. Thinking of this, the guard became even more worried, afraid that the little old man would report him to that power. Seeing this, Yun Luofeng narrowed her eyes and examined the little old man in front of her. "What are you looking at?" The little old man turned to look at Yun Luofeng. After meeting the young girl's eyes, which were filled with evil, his entire body trembled and he hurriedly covered his chest. "Don't tell me you've fallen for me? Let me tell you, I'm a chaste person. I'd rather die than submit." Yun Luofeng's face darkened. "I'm just curious about your identity." The old man's eyes shifted a few times and he said with a smile, "If you acknowledge me as your master, I'll tell you. How about that?" "Then forget it." Yun Luofeng shrugged her shoulders and walked towards the open door. When she reached the door, she stopped. With her back facing Xiao Yuqing, she gently raised the corners of her lips and said, "Have you ever heard of this saying? A debt of blood should be tasted with blood. Your mother did so many things in order to rise to the top. One day, someone will come to seek revenge on her." Saying this, she did not look back and stepped into the door of the spiritual realm. Xiao Yuqing stared in the direction that the young girl had left. A light flashed in his clear and cold eyes. Then, his gaze turned to the little old man who was putting away the golden jade tablet. Golden jade tablet? Which power was he from? It seemed that the two people he had met today were not simple, young master. The Xiao clan's guard stepped forward and cupped his fists. "Shall we continue our journey?" Xiao Yuqing nodded indifferently. "We must return to the Xiao family within 3 days. Hiya." After saying this, Xiao Yuqing whipped the green horse's body. Immediately, The green horse galloped madly towards the main gate, kicking up a cloud of dust behind it that floated in the air for a long time. On the uneven mountain path, the little old man's gaze was curiously sizing up the young girl beside him. Only when the young girl stopped walking did he awkwardly and dryly laugh twice. "Girl, tell me, do you have a grudge against that boy from the Xiao family?" "I've already said that I'm just standing up for the injustice." The corners of the young girl's lips curled up slightly. Her voice was calm and steady. However, her black eyes were filled with arrogance and dominance. She was like a wild horse that could not be tamed, arrogant and unruly. "Fight for justice?" The little old man rolled his eyes. "Do you think I'm stupid? A person like you will fight for justice? If it wasn't for that brat from the Xiao clan angering you, you wouldn't have said those harsh words." Moreover, with his understanding of Yun Luofeng, this girl's personality was calm and steady. She had always been the one to cheat people in the dark. This could be seen just from the time she had cheated Mu Wuchen in the tea house. However, this time, facing Xiao Yuqing, she had completely lost her usual calmness. Every word was filled with thorns. If there wasn't any deep hatred between them, she would never have said such provocative words. "I don't like him." Yun Luofeng raised her eyebrows devilishly. Her words completely exposed the nature of a hedonistic son of rich parents. "Do you think I'll believe you?" The little old man pursed his lips. If this little girl wanted to lie, she should have found a better reason. He would not believe that Yun Luofeng was purely unhappy with Xiao Yuqing. Chapter 358. Why not? Yun Luofeng's lips rose and she said arrogantly, "Since you have stayed in Long Yuan Nation, you should know what kind of person I am. I just don't like him, there is no other reason." Seeing that Yun Luofeng was determined not to tell him the reason, the little old man did not ask any further. He then sighed and said, "This old man really likes you, little girl, and has the heart to take you as my disciple. Alas, you are unwilling to accept my good intentions. Since that is the case, I will not force you. If you have any needs, you can find me at any time. I will do my best to help you." The little old man's words caused a wave of warmth to flow through Yun Luofeng's heart. However, the Xiao family was a matter between her and Yun Xiao. She would not let anyone else interfere, unless she really had no other choice. "Thank you." These two words carried Yun Luofeng's most sincere gratitude. No matter what, she accepted the little old man's good intentions. "Ha," the little old man smiled as he rubbed his hands. "If you want to thank me, give me a few more caddies of spirit tea. Difiske, I really miss the taste of this spirit tea." "All right." This time, Yun Luofeng did not refuse the little old man. She was silent for a moment and then added, "The spirit tea I will give you this time is even better than last time." "What? Even better than the spirit tea last time?" The little old man's eyes lit up and he almost drooled. He stared nervously at Yun Luofeng. Then, "Can you give me that spirit tea now?" Hearing this, Yun Luofeng took out a bag of spirit tea from her spatial ring and handed it to the little old man. "This is your reward for bringing me into spirit realm." Looking at the tea bag in the girl's hand, the little old man's breathing sped up. He snatched the spirit tea and hurriedly put it into his spatial ring, as though he was afraid that Yun Luofeng would take it back. "Little girl, if you have any missions to lead the way in the future, please find me. I will definitely be there." Even if it was for the spirit tea, he was willing to be Yun Luofeng's guide, right? The little old man seemed to think of something and raised his head to look at Yun Luofeng. "Do you know the map of spirit realm?" Yun Luofeng shook her head. Qin Yuan had only given her the route to spirit realm. She hadn't obtained a map of spirit realm yet. "If that's the case, then follow me first. I'm going to treat a patient. When I get there, I'll ask them to prepare a map for you. Moreover, if you're going to Xiao City, we're going the same way." Yun Luofeng raised his eyebrows. There was a hint of a smile in his evil black eyes. It seemed that this was the only way. After all, she was very unfamiliar with spirit realm. If there was no one to guide her, it would be very difficult for her to find the way to the Xiao family. Spiritual God Mountain Range. It was one of the forbidden lands of spirit realm. It was said that this mountain range was left behind by the spirit god back then, so it was named the Spirit God Mountain Range. However, this was only a legend. Whether it was true or not, no one knew. At that moment, in a courtyard at the foot of the mountain, the little old man paused in his steps. There was a sense of seriousness in his eyes as he took a deep breath. His elderly hand slowly landed on the ancient door. Before he could push it open, the door opened with a creak. "Miracle Doctor, you've finally come." In the courtyard, a man poked his head out. His gaze turned and then stopped on the little old man. There was clear joy on his face. Chapter 359. What's the situation? The little old man was startled and his expression was unprecedentedly serious. "Godly Doctor, my lord is waiting for you in the courtyard. Please follow me." The man opened the door and his slender eyes stared at the beautiful young girl next to the little old man. He frowned and asked, "By the way, this young lady is my disciple." The little old man replied calmly. "So she's the godly doctor's disciple." The man heaved a sigh of relief. After all, this was a matter of great importance and he could not let anyone else know about it. If she was the little old man's disciple, then it would be a different story. Yun Luofeng looked at the little old man and quickly turned away. He then followed the man into the main hall. The mansion was a little old and dilapidated. The ground was overgrown with weeds as if no one had lived in it for a very long time. However, no matter how dilapidated the mansion was, it could not conceal the luxuriously dressed man in the main hall. This man was very powerful. From afar, one could feel the awe-inspiring aura from his body. He was like a high and mighty emperor. His domineering aura was natural. "Godly Doctor." When the man saw the old man at the door, his handsome and domineering features lit up with a smile. However, his smile was filled with sadness and his face was filled with helplessness. "I've waited for you for a long time. I wonder if you can come with me to see my daughter's condition?" The little old man nodded solemnly. "All right, take me to her." "Godly Doctor, please." The middle-aged man made an affectionate gesture and walked to the curtains. He then raised his hand and lifted the curtains that blocked the entrance to the back hall. There was a wooden bed in the back hall and a pale-faced little girl was lying on it. The little girl was around 13 years of age. She looked like she was carved from jade and was very adorable. Her eyes were gently shut and her long eyelashes were like cattail leaf fans, trembling slightly. Her face was so pale that it was almost translucent. "Xiaobai's condition is worsening and I'm afraid that she won't be able to hold on any longer. That's why I've come all the way here to find you. Godly Doctor, you know that Xiaobai's identity is a little special so she can't die." The man's gaze was fixed on the young girl on the bed and he could not bear to look away. His eyes were filled with worry and deep anticipation for his beloved daughter. "Master, the blood in this girl's body is a little special." Just as Yun Luofeng was looking at the girl, little Mo's surprised voice came from within her soul. "Special?" Yun Luofeng raised his eyebrows and asked, "What makes her special?" Little Mo bit her lips. "I've been away from this continent for too long. There are many things that I don't understand, and my knowledge is not as vast as it used to be. All I know is that if you save her, she will be of great use to you in the future." Yun Luofeng fell silent. She trusted little Mo very much. Since little Mo said this, it proved that this little girl really had something special about her. However, she did not rush into action. Instead, she turned her gaze towards the little old man. The little old man furrowed his brows and his elderly face was grave. "Xiao Ruabai's condition isn't very good. I need to diagnose her first, but I can't guarantee that I can cure her." Hearing this, the man's heart clenched and a layer of sweat appeared on his forehead. The godly doctor had never failed in treating a patient. But now, he said that even he might not be able to cure Xiaobai. Chapter 360. Godly Doctor, no matter what, I'm already very grateful that I'm willing to save my daughter. The man slowly returned to his senses and the corners of his lips curled into a bitter smile. "If she really can't be saved, then I can only say that this is her fate." The little old man did not say anything else and slowly walked to the bed. He placed his hand gently on the young girl's pulse and his originally tightly knitted brows furrowed even more. I knew that her condition wasn't too good, but I never thought that it would be this serious. Now that her internal organs have been destroyed, unless someone is willing to donate their organs, there's no saving her." The man's heart trembled and his eyes gradually darkened. After a moment, he seemed to have made a great decision and gritted his teeth. "Godly doctor, can I donate my organs?" The little old man shook his head. "The difference in power between you two is too great, so there's no way for her to use your organs. Otherwise, it would only hasten her death." The man's body stiffened. In that instant, he looked as if he had aged a few decades and half of his hair had turned white. It was obvious that he had been worried about his daughter's situation over this period of time. Xiaobai has a kind nature. If the organs of another child were to be used to save her, she would rather die. The middle-aged man laughed bitterly, his expression filled with sorrow. "It's laughable that I have such great power, but I can't even save my own daughter. Since that's the case, what's the use of my power? Don't blame yourself too much, this isn't your fault." The little old man patted the man on the shoulder and said with a sigh. The man clutched his head tightly and said in agony, "You don't know how I feel. Back then, I couldn't protect my wife. Now, I can't even save my daughter. What's the point of living for a useless good-for-nothing like me?" The little old man wanted to continue persuading him, but before he could speak, the young girl's cold and emotionless voice rang out. "Since you want to die so badly, you might as well bang your head against the wall and die. It's better than grumbling here." The man in green who had led Yun Luofeng and the little old man into the main hall heard Yun Luofeng's words and his face changed. His eyes filled with rage. "Can't you see that my lord is already so broken-hearted and you're still mocking him? What are your intentions?" If not for the fact that this woman was the disciple of the divine doctor, he would have thrown her out long ago. She actually dared to say such words when Master was heartbroken. She was clearly doing it on purpose. "Dai Li." The man waved his hand and stopped Dai Li. He looked at Yun Luofeng with a bitter smile. "You're right. People like me should just kill themselves. I can't even protect my wife and daughter. What use am I?" "That's right." Yun Luofeng nodded in agreement. "So, you can kill yourself here now and let the people who hurt your wife and daughter go free." In the beginning, the little old man had not understood the meaning behind Yun Luofeng's taunting of men. But now, he suddenly understood and did not stop the young girl's actions, but merely stood silently by the side of the bed to observe Lin Ruobai's condition. Yun Luofeng saw the change in the man's expression and continued, "You said one thing right just now. You are a good-for-nothing. Not only can you not protect your wife and daughter, you don't even have the courage to avenge them. A good-for-nothing like you really doesn't have the right to live in this world. It's better for you to kill yourself." The man's expression became more and more pained. He hugged his head tightly and squatted on the ground. Chapter 361. You don't understand. His pained expression carried a deep sense of helplessness. "The people who hurt my wife and daughter are far too powerful. They're so powerful that I can't resist them. Even the entire spirit realm would be reduced to ashes under their power. How am I supposed to avenge them? I might as well keep my daughter company so that she won't be so lonely on her way to the Yellow Springs." Yun Luofeng laughed icily. "I was once a good-for-nothing. My parents had been killed by scoundrels. At the time, I was just like an ant. Those scoundrels were so powerful that I was no match for them." Indeed, to Yun Luofeng, who had just transmigrated, the imperial family was an unshakable existence. However, she had been lucky enough to obtain the divine medicine manual, which caused her cultivation to improve by leaps and bounds. She had only used half a year's time to avenge her parents. The man finally put down his hands and raised his head to look at Yun Luofeng. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something but closed it in the end. His handsome features were curled into a bitter smile. "Those people were only powerful to me at the beginning." Yun Luofeng took a deep breath. His insolent eyes were filled with confidence. "I believe that as long as I put in more effort than others, I would eventually surpass them. Hence, not long ago, I had destroyed those people and avenged my parents. You must remember, there's no one you can't surpass. Even if you have to use up all your strength, you must avenge them." The man's body trembled slightly. His gaze swept towards the young girl lying on the bed and his eyes were filled with pity. Xiaobai, I'm sorry. I won't be able to accompany you for now. Once I've killed those who hurt you and your daughter, I'll go and accompany you. His fingers gently brushed across the young girl's hair. His eyes were filled with gentleness, as if the sun was enveloping the young girl's body. The little old man sighed and said in self-reproach, I had thought that my medical skills were exquisite enough. I never thought that I would run into such a difficult problem today. Don't worry, I'll head to the Doctors Association in a while and gather everyone to discuss a cure. This little girl must not die. Lin Ruobai, this little girl, had a rather special status. Hence, he must cure her no matter what. A glimmer of hope appeared in the man's eyes. At this moment, he no longer cared whether the news of Lin Ruobai's injury could be spread. As long as he could cure her, he could ignore everything else. Let me try. Suddenly, a devilish voice entered the man's ears. He froze for a moment and turned his head to look at the beautiful girl who was lecturing him just now. Little girl, you know medicine? The little old man blinked in surprise. Didn't you say that you weren't interested in medicine? Yun Luofeng shrugged his shoulders. I'm just saying that I'm not interested in learning medicine from you. The little old man's face darkened and his resentful eyes glanced at Yun Luofeng. That gaze seemed to be silently complaining. If it fell into the eyes of those who did not know the truth, they would think that Yun Luofeng had done something worse than a beast to him. Get out of my way. Yun Luofeng walked to the man's side and said in a low voice. Perhaps it was due to the shock from the young girl's words that the man could not help but stand up and obediently stood to one side, making way for Yun Luofeng. If it's just an injury, she wouldn't be this serious. Yun Luofeng frowned. If I'm not wrong, did you give her something to eat? Chapter 362. The man was stunned for a moment, then nodded gently. I gave her holy water. What holy water? Yun Luofeng glanced at the man. Can you take it out for me to see? The man hesitated for a moment, then finally took out a bottle of milky white holy water. Dai Li wanted to stop Yun Luofeng, but he was stopped by the man. He could only glare at Yun Luofeng with resentment, as if Yun Luofeng had come just to swindle the holy water. Little Imo, can you tell what this holy water is? Yun Luofeng took the holy water, lowered her eyes, and asked through her soul. After a while, little Mo's soft voice sounded in her mind. Master, this spiritual marrow is good stuff, but it's not pure. If you can extract the essence from it, it can help you advance from a low-level earth spirit to a mid-level earth spirit. Yun Luofeng's eyes flickered a few times, a strange light flashing across her pitch-black pupils. She continued to ask, is this little girl's serious injuries related to the spiritual marrow? Little Imo shook her head. She probably didn't just take the spiritual marrow. There must have been something else, but I can't tell what it is. Yun Luofeng fell silent, thinking for a long time, then looked up at the man. Aside from the holy water, what else did you give her? The man frowned in thought, but after thinking for a while, he still couldn't figure out what else Lin Ruobai had taken. There doesn't seem to be anything else. Seeing the man's expression, Yun Luofeng understood that he really didn't know about Lin Ruobai's situation. I have a way to treat her, the girl slowly said. The man's eyes seemed to be lit up, and his breathing quickened as he looked at Yun Luofeng. Even the little old man couldn't help but turn his head, his astonished gaze falling upon the girl. You really have a way to save my daughter? The man was desperate. As long as he could save his precious daughter, he wouldn't let go of even the slightest hope. That's right, Yun Luofeng gently stroked her chin, but I have a request. After she recovers, I want her to be my disciple and stay by my side. Since little Imo said that there was something special about this girl, she could only be at ease by keeping her by her side. Hearing this, the man frowned again as if he was thinking about something. Soon, he made up his mind and gritted his teeth. As long as you can cure Xiaobai, you can take her away. This was his only daughter. How could he bear to see her die like this? As long as she could live, so what if she had to leave his side? My lord! Dai Li called out anxiously, Miss Dai Li, you don't have to say anything more. I've made up my mind. The man waved his hand. To me now, no matter what Xiao Bai's identity is, she's my daughter. As a father, I'm not willing to see my daughter die. So, if she can live, even if we father and daughter have to be separated, I have no regrets. Your words are too serious. Yun Luofeng's body lazily leaned against the side of the bed. I just want to take her away. I don't want you father and daughter to never meet again. If you want to see her, you can go find her anytime. The man's eyes became clear. I can really see Xiao Bai again? Yun Luofeng nodded slightly. If you want to see her, you can go find her. Also, treat this holy water as my treatment fee. Chapter 363. Watching the young girl calmly put away the holy water, the man's eyes hesitated. One had to know, this holy water was rare even in the entire spirit realm. Other than him, only Xiao Bai had the fortune to use it. He hadn't thought that this girl would directly take away the holy water. However, the man didn't dare to have any complaints. He still needed Yun Luofeng's treatment. How could he offend her at this time? Also, if he could really cure Xiao Bai, it would be worth it no matter how much he paid. If my illness does not improve, you must come back for the holy water. Dai Li knew of his lord's concerns and didn't dare to say too much. But the meaning of his words was clear. Yun Luofeng could not cure his Mississippi. He was even more certain that Yun Luofeng came here to swindle and obtain the holy water of the clan. Yun Luofeng didn't even spare him a glance. She even more so turned a deaf ear to his words. She took out a cloth bag from her sleeve and carefully opened it. She took out a few silver needles from within. Go prepare a fire candle and some medicine. Yun Luofeng's brow furrowed as he ordered coldly. Dai Li, the man hurriedly turned to Dai Li and ordered, go prepare what this girl needs. Yes, my lord. Dai Li unwillingly cupped his fists. In his view, how could his disciple cure an illness that even the genius doctor could not? If his disciple really had this kind of strength, would she recognize the genius doctor as her master? After speaking, the man ordered someone to bring over a brush and paper. He had Yun Luofeng write down all the medicine she needed on the paper. Then he sent Dai Li to the medicine store to buy the medicine. Fortunately, the medicine store was not far from the Spirit God Mountain range. Adding on that spirit realm was rich in medicine, it didn't take long for Dai Li to bring back all the medicine Yun Luofeng needed. Yun Luofeng lit a fire candle, disinfected the silver needles, and then slowly pressed them into Lin Ruobai's body. The reason Lin Ruobai had suffered such serious injuries was because someone had injected a thread of spirit energy into her body. That spirit energy was currently destroying her organs. But even so, she would not be injured to the point of falling unconscious. The reason why her injuries were so serious was because there was another kind of violent power in her body. This power did not originate from the spiritual energy that humans possessed, which was why Yun Luofeng had asked the man if he had given Lin Ruobai anything. I'll temporarily use spiritual power to seal the two powers in her body. Yun Luofeng wiped the sweat from his forehead and slowly stood up. I have a way to help her digest one of the spiritual powers. As for the other power, it's too violent and I can't help her absorb it. The man's expression tensed up, and he became nervous again. Will Xiao Bai still be in danger? Yun Luofeng glanced at the anxious man and slowly said, I can help her seal the other force for 3 years. During these 3 years, she must increase her strength. Once her strength is able to contend with this force, she will naturally be able to dispel it. However, she only has 3 years. So, even if you didn't agree to let me take her away, you have to make this decision now. Only by staying by my side will she grow faster. The man heaved a sigh of relief and his eyes were filled with gratitude. Miss, I really don't know how to thank you. Also, what are these medicinal herbs for? Chapter 364. Use it to absorb spiritual power. The corners of Yun Luofeng's lips slowly curled up. Prepare the medicinal bath immediately. Everyone else is to leave. All right. The man nodded at Yun Luofeng confidently. I'll have you brew the medicine and send it to you later. With that, he waved his hand and led Dai Li out of the back hall. The little old man was a little hesitant. Girl, can you really cure him? I'm 60% sure. Yun Luofeng narrowed his eyes. However, I will do my best. Ha! The little old man chuckled. Girl, you've really hidden yourself well. I didn't know that you had medical skills. If you really cure Xiao Ruobai, I can even acknowledge you as my master. Yun Luofeng hurriedly waved his hand. Forget it. You're too old. I don't want to accept an old man as my disciple. It's embarrassing. The little old man's face darkened. He glared at Yun Luofeng. I have the title of a divine doctor. You actually say that it's embarrassing to accept me as your disciple? This damned girl. It was fine if she didn't want to be his disciple. She actually said that it was embarrassing when he wanted to acknowledge her as his master? Was he really that bad? The little old man was full of resentment. There were countless people on this mainland who wanted to curry favor with him but could not. He had taken the initiative to come to him, but this girl had turned her back on him. I'm going to undress her later. Do you plan on staying? Yun Luofeng looked at the little old man who had no intention of leaving. There was a hint of mockery in his eyes. The little old man blushed. If he really stayed, wouldn't Lin Jingfeng, who loved his daughter as much as his own life, fight him to the death? Although he couldn't defeat him, if that brat risked his life to take him down with him, he would definitely suffer some injuries. Not worth it at all. The little old man shook his head and walked out the door with his hands behind his back. After a while, he had already disappeared from Yun Luofeng's sight. Very soon, someone brought the medicinal bath over. After that person left, she walked to Lin Ruobai's side. Disliking the trouble of undressing her, she directly tore Lin Ruobai's clothes into pieces. Then she lifted Lin Ruobai and threw her into the bathtub. Lin Ruobai remained silent in the milky white medicinal liquid. Perhaps the spiritual energy in her body was still desperately trying to break free from its restraints and charge around. Feeling the impact of the spiritual power, her body trembled, and her tightly knitted eyebrows revealed the pain she was suffering. Yun Luofeng's hand was tightly pressed against the girl's back, and a trace of spiritual power slowly entered her body through her back. Then, as if attracted by something, the violent spiritual energy calmed down and slowly flowed out of the body along with the strand of spiritual energy that Yun Luofeng had sent in. Logically speaking, based on Yun Luofeng's abilities, he should not have been able to extract the spiritual power from the young girl's body. However, don't forget her other identity, she was a doctor. For a doctor, anything was possible. It was because of these medicinal ingredients that Yun Luofeng was able to absorb so much spirit energy. Boom. Spiritual energy rushed into Yun Luofeng's mind, causing her body to shake violently. Then, a powerful force broke through the barrier in her body, and she entered a new realm. Earth Spirit Practitioner Intermediate Stage. Yun Luofeng opened her eyes, and the corners of her lips curled up. I never thought that I would have such a great opportunity in spirit realm this time. Unfortunately, this spiritual energy is too powerful, and I can only absorb a portion at most. Otherwise, it will cause my foundation to be unstable. However, if I don't absorb all of it, I won't be able to save her. Chapter 365. Squeak Squeak. Milk tea squeaked a few times and came out from Yun Luofeng's sleeve. Its pair of bright eyes were full of expectation. You want this spiritual power? Yun Luofeng looked at Milk Tea and asked. Milk Tea cupped its fists and continuously nodded as it squeaked. Open your mouth. Yun Luofeng no longer hesitated. With a flick of his finger, a stream of spiritual power entered Milk Tea's mouth. Having obtained what it wanted, Milk Tea happily crawled back into Yun Luofeng's sleeve and began digesting the spiritual power in its mouth. Once you've digested this spiritual power, you'll probably become an advanced earth spirit. Yun Luofeng sighed. Gold-seeking rats were different from humans after all. It did not need to worry about its foundation becoming unstable due to absorbing too much spiritual power. This made Yun Luofeng envious. Once I've dealt with this spiritual power, I'll seal the other power in her body next. Yun Luofeng's eyes gradually darkened. His gaze became solemn. Xiaomo, I need your help. 2 days. Ever since Yun Luofeng entered the back hall, he had not taken a single step for 2 days. Lin Jingfeng had been waiting anxiously in the hall for 2 days. He had wanted to enter the back hall a few times, but he resisted the urge in the end. At noon 2 days later, the curtains were finally lifted by a hand. Immediately, Lin Jingfeng's eyes lit up and he quickly walked over. His face was filled with anxiety as he gazed at the beautiful girl who had walked out of the back hall. "Miss, how is it? Go in and take a look." Yun Luofeng did not say anything else. Instead, he moved to the side and made way for Lin Jingfeng. Lin Jingfeng hurried into the room. His gaze immediately landed on the girl sitting on the bed. He was unable to shift his gaze away. No one knew how much his heart was trembling at that moment. It was as if it was going to jump out of his chest. "Xiao Bai," he called out softly, afraid that he would accidentally disturb her. "Father, what happened?" Lin Ruabai rubbed his sleepy eyes. There was a perplexed look in his misty eyes, as if he didn't know what was going on. A gentle smile appeared on Lin Jingfeng's handsome face. "It's all right, Xiao Bai. Father has found you a master. From now on, you can cultivate with master. What do you think?" Lin Ruabai's eyes were like black agate, shining with a clear luster. Her small face was as fair as jade, so cute that people couldn't help but want to pinch it. "Daddy, don't you want little white anymore?" She pouted and looked at Lin Jingfeng with teary eyes. "Xiao Bai." Lin Jingfeng's heart ached. He walked to Lin Ruabai's side and gently rubbed her little head. His eyes were filled with love as he said, "Your master is your savior. You'll only be able to survive if you follow her. You can only return to your father's side when you're strong enough." Yun Luofeng was the only one who could help Lin Ruabai seal the power in her body. That meant that only by following her side could one feel at ease. Lin Jingfeng would never risk his daughter's life. Who knows when the seal would be broken? "I understand." Lin Ruabai held back her tears. A brilliant smile appeared on her fair and adorable face. Her eyes fluttered as if they could speak. "Father, I will work hard in my cultivation. I won't embarrass you." "Good, very good. That's my good daughter." Lin Jingfeng swallowed the bitterness in his mouth and burst into laughter. As he laughed, he could not stop his tears from rolling down his face. Chapter 366. It was his good fortune that his daughter was so sensible. Perhaps Xiao Bai would grow to become very powerful by following Yun Luofeng. When that time comes, he would be able to avenge his wife. "Come, I'll take you to see your master." Lin Jingfeng bent down to carry the young girl and slowly walked towards the main hall. Before he reached the hall, he smelled the aroma of tea. This aroma made him salivate, and a layer of light appeared in his eyes. "Godly doctor, what tea are you drinking? Why is it so fragrant?" More importantly, after smelling the fragrance, he could clearly feel that his spiritual power had increased by a sliver. Even though this sliver was only the size of a fingernail, it was enough to fill his heart with excitement. "Hee, you've never tasted this tea before, have you?" The little old man raised his head proudly. "I bought this spiritual tea from this little girl and it cost me quite a bit of gold. TSKSK, I have to say, this tea is much better than the one you sold me last time. It's on a completely different level." What he was implying was that Yun Luofeng had dared to sell him a defective product last time and had kept such a good thing for himself. "This is not for sale." Yun Luofeng raised his teacup and took a gentle sip. "So, you should feel lucky to be able to drink this tea." "I don't care. If I run out of tea in the future, I'll come and ask for more from you," the little old man said shamelessly. People like him were naturally shameless anyway. It was not a big deal for him to throw away his dignity for the sake of spiritual tea. "This," Lin Jingfeng said weakly, "can you sell some of this tea to me? I'm willing to pay any price." Yun Luofeng slowly put down the teacup in his hand. "On account of Lin Ruabai, I can give you 2 taels for free." The young girl's words nearly made the little old man go blind with envy. After all, Yun Luofeng had only given him 2 taels in total and had even extorted a large sum of silver from him. He never expected that he would give Lin Jingfeng 2 taels of tea right off the bat. That's so unfair. "Little girl, if I become your disciple, you can give me 2 taels of tea as well," the little old man said pitifully. Yun Luofeng took another sip of tea and said unhurriedly, "As I said, you are too old. Accepting a disciple like you is too shameful." Lin Jingfeng was stunned. He looked at Yun Luofeng and the little old man in disbelief. The godly doctor shamelessly begged to be his disciple, and he was actually rejected? No one would believe it. Xiao Bai. Lin Jingfeng returned to his senses and released Lin Ruobai from his arms. He said gently, "This is your master. You will follow her from now on, understand?" Lin Ruobai blinked slightly, his bright eyes smiling at Yun Luofeng. After a long time he said, "Master, you're really good-looking." Black lines covered Lin Jingfeng's face. For the first time, he felt that his daughter was very unreliable. "Little White, go and surprise your master. Remember to listen to your master in the future." Lin Jingfeng shook her head helplessly. This little girl had been spoiled by her. She was really afraid that she would cause trouble outside. "Yes, father," Lin Ruobai replied. Then, she took the tea her father handed her and skipped towards Yun Luofeng. When she reached Yun Luofeng, she knelt down on one knee and her adorable little face lit up with a dazzling smile. Her smile was like a warm ray of sunlight that could easily warm the hearts of others. Chapter 367. "Master, please have some tea," Lin Ruobai said respectfully. Yun Luofeng put down the teacup in his hand and took the tea that Lin Ruobai handed over. He slowly brought it to his mouth and took a small sip. "I still have other matters to attend to. I need to leave this place, so come with me now." Lin Jingfeng was stunned. He didn't expect to be separated from his daughter so soon. His heart was filled with sorrow. "Miss, my daughter is very naughty and easily causes trouble. I hope you can take care of her along the way." "Don't worry," Yun Luofeng put down his teacup, the corners of his lips curled into a smile. "Since she is my disciple, I will not allow anyone to hurt her." She was a naturally protective person and would never allow anyone to harm the people around her. Lin Jingfeng heaved a sigh of relief. "I'm relieved. Xiao Bai, remember, don't cause trouble for your master. If you encounter something you can't solve, come back to me. I'll help you solve it." "Got it," Lin Ruobai replied obediently. Her eyes darted back and forth as the smile on her adorable face deepened. Even though she was reluctant to part with her father, the thought of leaving this place to see the outside world filled her heart with excitement. "By the way," Yun Luofeng paused and turned to look at Lin Jingfeng. "Give me a map to the Xiao clan." "The Xiao clan?" Lin Jingfeng was slightly surprised. "You want to go to the Xiao clan? Not bad." Yun Luofeng narrowed his eyes, and there was a dangerous glint in them. "I'm going to look for someone. Find someone to settle the score." Of course, she did not say these words out loud. Instead, a beautiful and demonic smile appeared on her face. That smile was as beautiful as a mandala flower. In the midst of danger, it tempted others to approach it, or Lin Jingfeng's expression gradually returned to normal. There was a complicated look in his eyes. "I'll get Dai Li to prepare a map for you. However, I don't know what grudges you have with the Xiao family. If you need any help, you can come and find me at any time." At this moment, Dai Li, who was standing quietly to the side, had a face full of awkwardness. He had originally thought that Yun Luofeng had said such big words for the sake of the holy water. He had never thought that this young girl would really be able to cure the Mississippi. Furthermore, from the godly doctor's words, it seemed that this young lady wasn't his disciple. Instead, he wanted to take her as his disciple, Four Corner City. In the main hall of the Xiao clan, Ling Yao, who was sitting below, suddenly stood up. Her delicate face was filled with anger. "Doesn't that trash know that he's not worthy of me? Why don't you break off the engagement no matter what?" "Yao." Ling Feng shot a warning glance at his granddaughter. Then he retracted his gaze and looked at Xiao Lin, who was sitting on the highest seat. He said, "Xiao family head, I want to know the reason why he's not willing to break off the engagement." Xiao Lin furrowed his brows and his elderly features were filled with helplessness. "It's not that he doesn't want to break off the engagement, it's just that he can't produce the engagement token. You should know that our families are the most trustworthy. If he wants to break off the engagement, he must return the engagement token." Bang! Ling Yao pushed aside the table in front of her and walked out of the hall. "Yao, Ling Feng's face darkened as he asked coldly, "Where are you going?" Ling Yao gritted her teeth in anger. Her expression was full of malevolence as if she was about to kill someone. I'm going to find that good-for-nothing. She clenched her fists tightly. Don't think that I don't know that he had agreed to break off the engagement, but in reality, he doesn't want to. Otherwise, he wouldn't have hidden the engagement token. His motive is to marry me. Chapter 368. For a good-for-nothing like him, forget about marrying her, he didn't even have the right to look at her. In the Xiao residence's courtyard, Ling Yao could see the grim man standing in front of the tree from afar. Even after so many years, Ling Yao couldn't help but feel stunned the moment she saw the man's face. God was fair. When he was given a good-for-nothing physique, he also gave him such exquisite looks. It was like the work of the gods, sculpted to perfection. In the cold wind, his black robes fluttered and his seductive figure could be faintly seen through his robes. Ling Yao fiercely swallowed her saliva. How good would it be if this guy wasn't a good-for-nothing? Then she would definitely marry him. Thinking of this, Ling Yao's heart couldn't help but feel a little regretful. She gritted her teeth and quickly walked towards the man standing under the tree. What will it take for you to let me go? Ling Yao clenched her fists tightly. Every time she thought of this man clinging to her and refusing to let go, a deep anger surged in her heart. The man didn't seem to hear her voice. His black eyes were as cold as ever as he stared expressionlessly at the azure sky. It was as if he could see through the layers of clouds and see the person who lived in a faraway place. Ling Yao fiercely stomped her foot. How long are you going to pester me? The person I love is Xianxia, not you. A good-for-nothing like you doesn't even have the right to carry my shoes. In her eyes, there was undisguised disgust, and the corners of her lips curled into a contemptuous angle. Yun Xiao retracted his gaze and slowly walked towards the east courtyard. From start to finish, he didn't even look at Ling Yao. It was as if he didn't notice her existence. Good-for-nothing. Ling Yao saw that this good-for-nothing dared to ignore her and roared angrily, "Let me tell you, playing hard to get is useless. I'll never like you." A good-for-nothing like Yun Xiao couldn't possibly ignore her. With an outstanding woman like her by his side, he would only think of ways to get close to her. And the reason why he ignored her was completely because he was playing hard to get. Did he think that he could attract her attention just like that? He must be dreaming. Her gaze would never stay on this good-for-nothing for the rest of her life. Even if this good-for-nothing looked so perfect, how is it? Xiao Jing walked over from behind her and frowned as he looked in the direction that Yun Xiao had left in. This trash is too arrogant. I have observed him many times, but there is no one else in his eyes. He's clearly standing in front of you, but you don't seem to be in his eyes. Ling Yao coldly snorted and sarcastically said, "He probably heard from somewhere that I like cold men, so he pretended to be cold to attract my attention. Unfortunately, if he wasn't trash, I might consider it. Just based on the fact that he's trash, I won't like him." Although she wanted to marry Xianxia, a cold man like Xianxia wasn't the type she liked. It was only because of Xianxia's great talent and outstanding strength that she wanted to represent her family by marriage. Only by marrying Xianxia could their Ling family truly stand on the same boat as the Xiao family. Xiao Jing frowned. He still felt that Ling Yao's ego was too good. After observing him for the past few days, he clearly understood that this man really didn't put anyone in his eyes. He wasn't playing hard to get, as Ling Yao had said, but what he didn't understand was, how much confidence did a good-for-nothing like him have to be so arrogant? Chapter 369. Yao, let's go. Xiao Jing paused and said, "Xianxia is back." Xianxia? Ling Yao's eyes lit up and her mood became joyful. Brother Yuqing is back? Come, let's go find him now. It's also good to dispel the unhappiness that trash brought me. After saying this, Ling Yao quickly walked in the direction of the hall. However, when she arrived at the hall, she was told that Xianxia had returned to the backyard to rest. She didn't stop and walk to the backyard. At this time, in a luxurious and exquisite room, the beautiful woman tightly grasped Xianxia's arm and examined him from head to toe. After seeing that her precious son was fine, she sighed in relief. There are some things you don't need to do yourself. It's enough to send the Xiao family disciples. Xianxia frowned, his cold eyes looking straight at the beautiful woman in front of him. "Mother, I have something to ask you." "What is it?" Back then, Was it really that woman who kidnapped Piao Shui and forced you to leave father? Lin Yu stilled. Maybe she didn't expect Xiao Yuqing to ask such a question. Her heart suddenly sank. Qing, you don't believe me? Am I that kind of woman who would steal someone else's husband? If that bitch hadn't used a trick to steal your father, there wouldn't be such a trash. The heavens really have eyes. She made a mistake and let her son bear it. The reason why her son is trash is because of this. After saying these words, Lin Yu interrogated, Qing, tell mother, who is it that is spreading rumors in your ears? When I returned to Spirit Realm this time, I met a woman. That woman claimed that you were a concubine and that your father favored the concubine over the wife. She also said that a debt of blood will be tasted with blood. So I came to ask you about what happened back then. Xiao Yuqing's frown loosened. No matter what, the woman in front of him was his mother. He believed her. Qing, don't listen to the nonsense of those crazy women in the future. Lin Yu frowned slightly. That woman probably approached you on purpose because she knew you were the young master of the Xiao family and wanted to get on your boat. Xiao Yuqing became silent. The old man beside the woman had a golden jade token, so his identity was definitely not ordinary. There was no need to form a relationship with him. What's more, he had never seen anyone humiliate someone's mother for the sake of a relationship. As a result, Xiao Yuqing, who had initially dismissed her suspicions about Lin Yu, was once again filled with doubt. A light flashed across her clear and cold eyes. Brother Yuqing, are you there? Just then, a delicate voice came from outside the door. Then, a slender hand pushed open the door and walked in. She smiled and said, Auntie, I'm looking for Brother Yuqing. Lin Yu changed her attitude after seeing Ling Yao. She said pleasantly, Yao, you're here. Your brother Yuqing has just returned, so I'll have to trouble you to accompany him. Ling Yao hooked Xiao Yuqing's arm with a mischievous smile on her face. Auntie, don't worry. I'll bring Big Brother Yuqing out to play. Big Brother Yuqing, let's go out now. Facing Ling Yao's actions, Xiao Yuqing did not resist and allowed her to pull him out of the room. However, when they reached the door, he raised his hand and gently pushed Lin Yu's arm away. Then, he said coldly and indifferently, there is a difference between a man and a woman. Please behave yourself. Chapter 370. Ling Yao looked at her empty arm and felt slightly displeased. Brother Yuqing, we're going to be husband and wife soon. What's the difference between a man and a woman? At least not yet. Xiao Yuqing's gaze was as cold as ever, but he felt slightly annoyed. If you continue to be so touchy, I won't see you again. Ling Yao's body stiffened and an aggrieved expression appeared on her face. Brother Yuqing, I was bullied by that good-for-nothing. That's why I came to find you. I want you to take revenge for me. I really didn't do it on purpose. Good-for-nothing? Xiao Yuqing's eyes revealed a hint of confusion. You mean, that's right. It's that good-for-nothing who was chased out of the Xiao family. Ling Yao's face was filled with anger. That good-for-nothing is too much. He's clearly not good enough for me with his status, but he still won't let me go. I don't believe that he doesn't have the engagement token. The token must have been hidden by him. Xiao Yuqing frowned. He's back? Her half-brother had finally come back? Brother Yuqing, are you going to take revenge for me or not? Ling Yao stomped her foot angrily. That good-for-nothing is too much. How can you tolerate your fiancé being bullied? For some reason, Xiao Yuqing heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that Yun Xiao had not handed over the engagement token. If he had not handed it over, perhaps he would not have had to marry a willful and unruly girl like Ling Yao. That's between you and him. It has nothing to do with me. Xiao Yuqing said coldly. His tone was indifferent and he clearly did not care about Ling Yao at all. If grandfather had not asked him to marry her, he would never have taken her as a concubine no matter what. Ling Yao was stunned. She did not expect Xiao Yuqing to say something like that. Tears welled up in her eyes. Brother Yuqing, I'm tired. Xiao Yuqing closed his eyes tiredly. You should go. Ling Yao bit her lip tightly. She looked at Xiao Yuqing reluctantly, then turned around and ran out of the courtyard. Her tears flowed down, emitting a sparkling radiance in the air. Xiao Yuqing slowly opened his eyes and stared coldly in the direction where Ling Yao had left. His handsome face was cold and his eyes were devoid of warmth. At that moment, Xiao Yuqing frowned slightly as the scene of him and Yun Luofeng clashing with each other appeared in his mind. I will definitely figure out who was right and who was wrong, and give my mother justice. This also made the young girl understand that he wasn't some illegitimate child, but the true young master of the Xiao family. On this continent, it was normal for a man to have 3 or 4 wives. However, if he became a legitimate son from a concubine, it would be very different from being a legitimate son. He had to clear his name. According to the map, this is the territory of the Xiao family. On the bustling streets of Four Corner City, Yun Luofeng had a lazy and evil smile on his face. A smile flashed across his deep eyes. Perhaps thinking that she would be able to see Yun Xiao soon, the smile in her black eyes grew wider. Xiaobai? When Yun Luofeng came back to her senses, she suddenly realized that Lin Ruobai, who had been by her side, had disappeared. Just as she was about to look for him, she saw Lin Ruobai walking towards her with 2 sticks of candied hawthorn. Master, Lin Ruobai handed a stick of candied hawthorn to Yun Luofeng and blinked her large eyes, waiting for praise. Don't you think your disciple is very filial? Yun Luofeng frowned slightly. Where did you get this candied hawthorn? I remember that your father didn't give you any silver? Lin Ruobai cutely took a bite of the candied hawthorn and tilted her head to look at Yun Luofeng. Of course I took it. It tastes very good. Master, do you want to try it? As she spoke, a wild shout came from behind Lin Ruobai. The voice was extremely loud and was quickly followed by the sound of running footsteps. Catch the thief, catch the thief. Chapter 371. Lin Ruobai's mouth was still stained with sugar. She blinked in confusion and turned to look at the group of people chasing after them. Master, are they chasing after thieves? How could there be thieves in my father's territory? After Lin Ruobai said this, the group of burly men quickly surrounded the 2 of them. One of them walked up and said fiercely, "Take these 2 thieves back." Lin Ruobai blinked innocently and pointed at herself. Thieves, are you talking about me? Who else could it be? The burly man snorted. You took my Tonghulu and didn't pay. If you're not a thief, then what are you? Lin Ruobai hid behind Yun Luofeng and muttered, I didn't know I had to pay. Didn't know you had to pay? Are you fucking stupid? Don't think I'll let you off just because you're using this excuse. I don't think the 2 of you are so poor that you don't even have a few copper plates. Since you don't want to pay, then I'll take the 2 of you back to be my wives. Seeing the burly man's arm about to land on her shoulder, Lin Ruobai's cute face flashed with anger. Although she had been isolated from the world all these years, she understood what it meant to be someone's wife. This man was so daring to take advantage of her. Get out of my way. Lin Ruobai's small fist slammed into the burly man's chest. The burly man, who was several times her size, was sent flying by the punch and fell on the stall next door. Lin Ruobai was shocked. She looked at her own fist, then turned to Yun Luofeng, feeling wronged. Master, did I cause trouble for you? I really didn't know I had to pay for things. Father never taught me this. Yun Luofeng raised his hand and patted Lin Ruobai's head. You've never been to this kind of market before? Lin Ruobai hurriedly shook her head and looked pitifully at the beautiful girl standing in front of her. She fiddled with the corner of her clothes and said bashfully, Father won't let me go down the mountain. I've never been to a place like this before. I don't know how to pay, don't worry. Yun Luofeng patted Lin Ruobai's head, the corners of his lips curving up. His dark eyes shone with a dazzling light. Leave this matter to me. Lin Ruobai blinked slightly as he looked at the girl's confident eyes. He obediently followed behind Yun Luofeng. How much did the candied haws cost in total? Yun Luofeng lowered his eyes to look at the burly man lying on the stall, and asked in a low voice. The burly man climbed up from the stall and sneered, This little thief stole my things, how can I let her go so easily? I don't want your money now, I want you 2 to be my wives. Yun Luofeng frowned slightly. His dark eyes quietly stared at the burly man in front of him. Are you sure? Hee hee. The burly man licked his dry lips, a lascivious light in his eyes. I didn't think that I, Yu Rong, would be so lucky. After being a bachelor for so many years, I can still get 2 beautiful wives at a time like this. Don't worry, if you follow me, I won't treat you unfairly. Chapter 372. The more Lin Rubai heard, the angrier she became. It was one thing for these people to disrespect her, but they dared to use such filthy words to defile her master. Unforgivable. Xiao Bai was indeed in the wrong in this matter. I'll give you 10 silvers for taking your things as compensation. I said, I don't want silver, I only want a wife. The burly man stared at Yun Luofeng with a pair of drooling eyes, almost drooling. 10 silvers is nothing compared to a peerless beauty like you. These 2 women did not look like they were from Four Corner City. They were probably foreigners. If he did not bully them, who else could he bully? All the people who set up stalls in Four Corner City were of the same mind. If these 2 women did not submit to him, they could forget about staying in Four Corner City. I gave you a chance. Yun Luofeng sighed and leaned to the side. Xiao Bai, if you want to beat them up, go ahead. Just don't kill them. Lin Ruobai's eyes brightened. She grinned and rubbed her palms, her eyes shining. Can I really beat people up? This girl had a violent streak in her bones. When she heard Yun Luofeng ask her to fight, the smile on her little face immediately became very bright. With just you 2 little girls? The burly man smiled coldly and waved his hand. He gritted his teeth and said, let's go and capture these 2 little girls. In an instant, everyone picked up the weapons in their hands and charged fiercely towards Lin Rubai. Lin Rubai, who was surrounded by the crowd, did not feel afraid at all. A bright smile hung on her cute little face as she stared excitedly at the crowd that was charging towards her. Just as those people were about to reach Lin Rubai, a cold shout suddenly rang out. Everyone stopped in their tracks and turned to look at the newcomer. Behind the crowd, a man dressed in a long green robe walked slowly towards them. His features were exquisite and his face was handsome. His cold black eyes pierced through the crowd and landed on the beautiful girl who was standing lazily. The girl narrowed her eyes slightly, her black eyes staring at the cold man who was walking through the crowd. There was a dangerous light in her eyes. Master, do you not like this man? Lin Ruobai, who had just retracted her aura, felt the coldness from Yun Luofeng's body. She couldn't help but feel a little surprised. She didn't understand. Why would her master dislike such a good-looking man? Yun Luofeng didn't say anything. He pursed his thin lips and a cold light flashed in his evil black eyes. When he saw Xiao Yuqing walk over, Lin Ruobai grabbed Yun Luofeng's arm tightly. His bright eyes flickered, and he subconsciously wanted to shield Yun Luofeng behind him. This man was indeed good-looking, but she didn't like the way he looked at her master. More importantly, master didn't like him. She didn't like people that her master didn't like either. Young Master Xiao. The burly man was stunned when he saw Xiao Yuqing slowly walking towards him. Then cold sweat broke out on his forehead. I didn't know that these 2 ladies were acquainted with young Master Xiao. I offended them earlier. Please forgive me, young Master Xiao. The corners of Xiao Yuqing's thin lips curled into a cold arc. With his back facing the burly man, his voice was like a clear spring that flowed into one's heart. How much silver do they owe you? This is only a few copper coins. The burly man's back was drenched in cold sweat as he looked at Xiao Yuqing guiltily. You want to exchange 2 wives for a few copper coins? You're quite good with your calculations. It's a pity that you don't become an accountant. Chapter 373. The burly man's body shook and he said embarrassedly, I was just joking. That's right, I was just joking. Young Master Xiao, since these 2 are your friends, I won't take those copper coins. With that, the burly man did not wait for Xiao Yuqing's reply and hurriedly turned to leave. His footsteps were hurried as if he was being chased by monsters. Xiao Yuqing stared quietly at Yun Luofeng, who was standing in front of him. His eyes were clear and cold. We meet again. So what? Yun Luofeng raised an eyebrow and asked. Hearing this, Xiao Yuqing took 2 steps closer to her. There was a look of certainty in his handsome eyes. I will prove to you that my mother was not wrong. The man's tone was very serious as he stared coldly at Yun Luofeng. Are you done? Yun Luofeng's lips curled into a smile. If you're done, then I should leave. Xiaobai, let's go. After saying this, Yun Luofeng grabbed Lin Ruobai's arm and pulled her, who was filled with confusion, some distance away before letting go. Many people had already gathered on the bustling street. However, Xiao Yuqing did not seem to hear the discussions around him. He stood quietly in the middle of the street and his clear eyes followed Yun Luofeng's footsteps as he gradually walked away. On the street, Lin Ruobai fiercely bit into a candied fruit and said angrily, "Master, did that guy bully you? I didn't think that he would be such a good-looking person but a scumbag. No, I can't let Master be bullied. I'll write a letter to Father later and ask him to bring people to kill this scumbag." In Lin Ruobai's opinion, anyone that Yun Luofeng did not like was not a good person. He must have hurt Yun Luofeng before. As for her, how could she tolerate someone bullying her beloved master? Even though she liked handsome men were not as important as her master. She would not let anyone who bullied her master go, no matter what they looked like. Suddenly, a faint fragrance drifted over. Lin Ruobai, who had been fighting for Yun Luofeng's justice, was instantly distracted. Her large bright eyes looked towards a nearby restaurant and saliva slowly flowed from the corner of her mouth. "Master, I'm hungry." She wiped the saliva from the corner of her mouth and turned her head to look pitifully at Yun Luofeng. "Let's go." A lazy smile appeared on Yun Luofeng's face. "Let's go rest here for a while, then I'll think of a way to find him. Right now, Yun Xiao should be in the Xiao family. If she wanted to enter the Xiao family, it wouldn't be that easy. Hence, this matter needed to be considered at length." "What?" In the boudoir of the Ling family's backyard, Ling Yao slammed the table and rose to her feet. A hint of anger appeared on her delicate face. "There's actually a woman seducing Brother Yuqing in public? How audacious! Let's go, I'm going to find Brother Yuqing now, and also take a look at what kind of slut that woman is." Xiao Yuqing was called the genius of spirit realm. His talent was outstanding at such a young age. In the entire spirit realm, she was the only one who was a match for him. He really didn't know if that slut had any self-awareness. She actually dared to seduce Xiao Yuqing with that kind of trash. Unfortunately, when Ling Yao rushed to Xiao Yuqing's side, she only saw him standing alone in the middle of the street, quietly staring at the endless road in front of him. She suppressed the displeasure in her heart and smiled coquettishly as she walked towards Xiao Yuqing. She wrapped her arm around the crook of his arm familiarly, a coquettish smile on her face. Chapter 374. Big Brother Yuqing, I've been looking for you for a long time. I didn't think that you'd be here. Xiao Yuqing discreetly pulled his arm out and asked coldly, "What are you doing here?" The man's voice carried a coldness that kept people at arm's length. It was so cold that there was no warmth in his voice. It was like a block of ice that chilled Ling Yao's heart to the bone. "Big Brother Yuqing, Auntie had asked me to eat with you." Ling Yao stared at Xiao Yuqing with an aggrieved look. "Let's go to the nearest restaurant, all right?" Hearing that it was Lin Yu who asked Ling Yao to come, Xiao Yuqing didn't refuse her. He nodded lightly and said in his usual cold voice, "Okay, I can accompany you to the restaurant for a meal. However, if you touch me again, I won't see you again." Ling Yao's heart shook violently and she clenched her fists tightly. Xiao Yuqing was too cold towards her. He was so cold that it was slightly abnormal. He must have taken a liking to some other woman for him to act like this. If she found out who had seduced Big Brother Yuqing, she would tear that person into pieces. "Big Brother Yuqing, let's go." Ling Yao suppressed the bitterness in her heart and forced a smile on her delicate and pretty face. She instinctively reached out to hold the crook of Xiao Yuqing's arm, but she withdrew her hand the moment she touched Xiao Yuqing's. A fragrant aroma wafted through the air at Soaring Dragon Restaurant. Ling Yao stood at the restaurant's entrance and turned to look at the man next to her with a smile. "Big Brother Yuqing, shall we go to this restaurant?" The man did not seem to hear her. His eyes stared silently at the restaurant's main hall. His cool gaze was as calm as the surface of a lake. Ling Yao stared blankly for a moment and could not help following Xiao Yuqing's gaze. Suddenly, a beautiful and familiar face appeared before her eyes. Suddenly, Ling Yao's pupils shrank and a wave of anger rose in her heart. She would never forget the humiliation she had endured in Long Yuan Nation. She would never forget the arrogant expression on this girl's face when she had stepped on her. Now, she had come to Spirit Realm and was delusional enough to seduce her big brother Yu Qing. When she thought of this, Ling Yao could no longer control her violent heart and charged angrily towards Yun Luofeng. She seemed to have forgotten about the black pill that she had been forced to consume in Long Yuan country. She had also forgotten about being controlled by Yun Luofeng. Bitch! How dare you come here? Yun Luofeng, who was playing with his milk tea, suddenly heard an angry shout and couldn't help but frown. His dark eyes lifted slightly and he glanced at Ling Yao, who was about to kick the table. The girl glanced at Ling Yao's legs arrogantly, and the corners of her lips curled up slightly. If you don't want your legs anymore, feel free to kick this table. Ling Yao's legs stiffened, and she stopped in midair. A trace of fear appeared in her eyes. It was obvious that what happened that day had caused great damage to her heart. Even after so many years, she still felt a deep fear towards the girl in front of her. Ling Yao snorted coldly and put her leg down. Her brows were filled with arrogance. I was worried that the table you used would dirty my feet. Even if she feared Yun Luofeng in her heart, she would not show it. Otherwise, how much face would she have? Let's continue, don't mind her. Yun Luofeng's fingers caressed Milk Tea's small body. His black eyes looked towards Lin Ruobai at the side as he spoke with a smile. Chapter 375. Lin Ruobai blinked as if she understood. She scooped up a mouthful of bird's nest and put it into her mouth. Her bright eyes were filled with confusion. However, she still responded, "Oh." Since Master told her to ignore her, then she would listen to Master. However, this woman did not look like a good person. She dared to insult Master. If her father was here, she would let him take care of her immediately. Hey! Ling Yao had wanted to call Yun Luofeng's name. However, she remembered that she did not even know his surname. She could only use this one word to address him. However, Yun Luofeng's disregard for her completely provoked the anger in her heart. Her beautiful eyes were filled with anger. I really don't know what the two gatekeepers of Spirit Realm are doing. An outsider actually managed to sneak in. I think that you must have come here to steal the treasures of Spirit Realm. One needed a pass to enter Spirit Realm. However, Spirit Realm would not casually give the pass to an outsider. Yun Luofeng was only a hedonistic son of Long Yuan Nation. With his status, he did not have the right to enter Spirit Realm. It could be imagined that the two gatekeepers must have fallen for her honey trap. That was why they let her into Spirit Realm. At the entrance of the restaurant's hall, Xiao Yuqing looked at Ling Yao, who went to cause trouble for Yun Luofeng. He frowned slightly, and the light in his eyes grew colder. No one knew better than him how Yun Luofeng entered Spirit Realm. The old man beside him had a gold jade token. His status was obviously not ordinary. So, how could this girl be an ordinary person? He couldn't even see through the cute little girl next to her. However, he would not tell Ling Yao these things. If Ling Yao really provoked Yun Luofeng, he might be able to borrow Yun Luofeng's hand to take care of this woman for him. Are you even listening to me? Ling Yao saw that Yun Luofeng had once again ignored her. Her beautiful face suddenly changed. She walked forward with a face full of anger. I'm telling you, this is the territory of the Ling and Xiao families. Here I have the final say. Bang! Yun Luofeng kicked the table away, and the dishes on the table flew up. A dish coincidentally smashed into Ling Yao's face, and slowly fell off her face. Ling Yao was dumbfounded. She stared in shock at Yun Luofeng, who was slowly standing up. When she saw the young girl walking towards her, she subconsciously took a few steps back. There was a trace of fear in her voice as she said, What? What do you want? What do I want? Yun Luofeng's lips curled into an evil smile. Of course I want to fuck you. These were originally very evil words, but when they came out of Yun Luofeng's mouth, they were domineering and caused the fear in people's hearts to increase. Boom! Yun Luofeng raised his leg and kicked Ling Yao, sending her flying into the air and crashing in front of Xiao Yuqing. However, Xiao Yuqing didn't even look at Ling Yao, who was lying on the ground. Her cold eyes were fixed on Yun Luofeng. You're crazy! Ling Yao struggled to get up from the ground. She was so angry that her entire body was trembling. She glared at Yun Luofeng and said, "Do you know what you're doing? This is Four Corner City, not Long Yuan Country." Yun Luofeng raised his eyes slightly, and his unruly eyes glanced at Yun Yao. "Your saliva has splashed on my food." What he meant was that because her saliva had splashed on his food, he didn't want the food on the table anymore. Lin Rubai bit his chopsticks and looked at the dishes on the floor with an aggrieved expression. He looked like he was about to cry. Chapter 376. Her delicacies had been ruined just like that. It was all this woman's fault. If she had not spilled her saliva onto the food, her master would not have ruined the table, and she would not have to drool over the food on the floor. Lin Rubai swallowed her saliva and glared fiercely at Ling Yao with her large, bright eyes. "Damned girl, how dare you glare at me?" Facing Yun Luofeng, Ling Yao was still a little fearful. After all, what had happened in Long Yuan Country that day was her lifelong nightmare. But even this little girl had dared to glare at her. Did she really think that she was so easy to bully? "Master, can I beat her up?" Lin Rubai controlled the rage in her heart and turned towards Yun Luofeng. "By my side, you can beat up whoever you want. You don't have to ask me." If Lin Jingfeng had heard Yun Luofeng's words, his heart would probably have turned cold. After all, Lin Rubai was a devil-like existence in the family and had stirred up quite a bit of trouble. He had hoped that Yun Luofeng would teach this little girl a lesson. Who would have thought that this little hedonist would meet a big hedonist? What good would that do? Lin Ruabai's eyes lit up in an instant and the corners of her lips gradually widened into a smile. She clenched her fists so hard that cracking sounds could be heard. A little girl who had popped out of nowhere dares to be so impudent in front of me? Ling Yao laughed icily and her face was filled with disdain. Did your parents not teach you that when you meet someone stronger than you have to admit defeat? Because Yun Luofeng had come from Long Yuan Country, this little girl must be the daughter of a noble family in the secular world. However, no matter how high her status was in the secular world, she had to bow down to her master here. Slap. Suddenly, a white figure flashed past like a gentle breeze and quickly appeared in front of Ling Yao. With a loud slap landed on Ling Yao's face. In an instant, Ling Yao's left cheek turned red and swollen. Perhaps she had not expected that Lin Ruabai would really hit her, and Ling Yao was stunned. After a moment, she suddenly regained her senses and her eyes slowly filled with raging flames. She bared her fangs and brandished her claws as she pounced towards Lin Ruabai. "Damned girl, you dare to hit me, you actually dare to hit me." Lin Ruabai raised his head as he stared at Ling Yao, who was charging towards him. His snow-white features carried a sneer as he said, "So what if I hit you? What can you do about it?" Who asked this woman to insult master? Those who scolded master deserve to die. Moreover, the entire spirit realm belonged to her family. Why would she be afraid of the Ling family? "Bitch, go to hell." Ling Yao's expression was malevolent, and her aura suddenly surged. A sharp sword had appeared in her hand, and she charged at Lin Ruabai with all her might. Yun Luofeng narrowed her eyes. A dangerous light flashed across her eyes. However, she did not make any moves. Instead, she stood quietly beside Lin Ruabai and watched. She also wanted to know Lin Ruabai's true strength. "Stop!" Xiao Yuqing, who had been standing silently to the side, watched the scene unfold. His handsome face changed in an instant and he appeared next to Ling Yao in a flash, pressing down on her shoulder tightly. "Ling Yao, you've crossed the line." His voice was clear and calm, but it made the flames of anger in Ling Yao's heart burn even more. Big brother Yuqing must have taken a liking to these two women. That's why he had stopped me. I will never give big brother Yuqing to anyone else. Chapter 377. Brother Yuqing, let go of me. I want to teach these two women a lesson. Jealous women were crazy. She had even forgotten about the injuries she had suffered in Long Yuan Country. She only wanted to kill these two people, especially Yun Luofeng. She had seduced brother Yuqing with her looks. She could not forgive her. Yun Luofeng shook her head regretfully. She originally wanted to use this to test White Yi's strength, but she didn't expect to be stopped by Xiao Yuqing. "Apologize." Xiao Yuqing's eyes darkened as he spoke coldly. Although he wanted to use Yun Luofeng to solve this problem, if Ling Yao really attacked them, the consequences would be out of control. She might even drag the Xiao family down. Brother Yuqing, these two women hit me. Ling Yao trembled and glared angrily at Yun Luofeng and Lin Rubai. It was clearly their fault. Why did Brother Yuqing want her to apologize? She would never bow her head to these two women. Lin Rubai wrinkled his adorable white head and said unhappily to Xiao Yuqing, "Go away. I want to teach this woman a lesson. Let's see if she dares to scold my master again." "Damned girl, with that little bit of strength of yours, I can crush you to death with one hand." Ling Yao gritted her teeth. In this world, she was the only one who looked down on others. No one could look down on her. Xiao Yuqing frowned and looked coldly at Yun Luofeng and Lin Rubai. "I'll let her apologize to you. Let's forget about what happened today." "Brother Yuqing." Ling Yao stomped her foot fiercely. However, Xiao Yuqing was holding her shoulder tightly and she could not move. All she could do was glare at Yun Luofeng hatefully. "Bitch, don't think that I don't know that you've seduced Brother Yuqing. Someone like you will never be able to enter the Xiao family. Stop dreaming. I'm about to be engaged to Brother Yuqing. Even if you don't let go of him, you'll only be a concubine." Furthermore, with her status, she was not even fit to be a concubine of the Xiao family. Yun Luofeng curled the corners of his lips. His pitch-black eyes slowly swept past Ling Yao, and then his gaze landed behind her. At this moment, the young girl's eyes calmed down and exuded a demonic aura. "Sorry, I already have a man." Ling Yao sneered, her eyes filled with disdain. "You have a man? Do you think I'll believe you? You were just looking for an excuse because I caught you seducing Brother Yuqing. I'm not stupid enough to believe your words." Perhaps it was because she was in a good mood that Yun Luofeng did not make a move to teach Ling Yao a lesson this time. Her peerless features were curled into a devilish smile and her black eyes shone like the stars in the night sky. "My man is behind you. If you don't believe me, you can take a look." Ling Yao was stunned for a moment, and astonishment flashed in her eyes. Could it be that this woman already had a man? Thinking of this, she could not help but turn around, her beautiful eyes looking at the man standing at the entrance of the restaurant. She wanted to see who had the courage to even want such a wanton and unrestrained woman. Besides, this woman had seduced Brother Yuqing in front of him. After they get married, she would definitely have an affair. However, Ling Yao's face froze when she saw the man behind her. She cried out in disbelief, "It's you!" Chapter 378. The man did not seem to have heard her words. He slowly walked towards the white-robed young lady who was standing in the hall. His paralyzed face seemed to have cracked, carrying a faint curve. "You're here." These three simple words expressed the endless yearning in his heart. It was like a hand caressing Yun Luofeng's heart. "I came to find you." The girl's lips curved into a faint smile. Her dark eyes quietly stared at the man standing next to her. Her eyes were filled with evil. "I also wanted to see if you've hooked up with other women." Yun Zhao's gaze was still serious. She looked at Yun Luofeng without blinking. "I only look at you." In this world, besides her, all other women were like a pile of bones in his eyes. What was there to look at? Thinking of this, the man paused and then continued, "In this lifetime, I can't even get enough of looking at you. Why should I waste my time on other people?" These were the best words of love that Yun Luofeng had ever heard. He couldn't even get enough of looking at her in his lifetime. Why would he waste his precious time on other women? Yun Luofeng narrowed his eyes. The smile on his lips gradually became dangerous. "Who taught you these words?" "No one taught me." Indeed, no one had taught him these words of love. He had only said what he wanted to express in his heart. "It seems that my training over the past 6 months has been quite effective. You're enlightened." Yun Luofeng curled the corners of his lips. His eyes were full of smiles. "In the future, I don't need to train you anymore." Yun Xiao frowned. "Not enough." "Why?" "'Cause I want to be trained by you." If someone else had said these words, Yun Luofeng could have taken it as flirting with her. However, when it came from Yun Zhao's mouth, it became serious. It made it impossible for anyone to think in that direction. Lin Ruobai blinked and looked at Yun Luofeng. Then she looked at the cold man in front of her. Her eyes flashed with excitement. There's an affair. Master must be having an affair with this man. However, this man was much better looking than Xiao Yuqing. He was qualified to be with such an outstanding master. The more Lin Ruobai thought about it, the more excited she became. The seeds of gossip gradually sprouted in her heart. Unfortunately, before Lin Ruobai could gossip any further, a voice that dampened the mood sounded from the side. When you attacked me and Xiao Jing in Long Yuan country, it wasn't because you disliked us, but because of this trash, am I right? Ling Yao pointed at Yun Xiao angrily, gnashing her teeth as she asked. Who would have thought that the injuries they had suffered that day were all because of this trash? You just found out? Yun Luofeng glanced at Ling Yao and smirked. In this world, there's no such thing as hatred for no reason. It's funny that you guys really think that I just don't like you. I'm just helping my man vent his anger. You. Ling Yao glared angrily at Yun Luofeng. You've really given up on yourself. You actually got together with this piece of trash. I'm telling you, you're just picking up trash that I don't want. During this period of time, Ling Yao had suffered a lot, so she naturally vented the anger in her heart at this time. In her opinion, a proud person like Yun Luofeng would never bother to pick up other people's trash. The person you treat as trash is the most precious treasure in my heart. Yun Luofeng's gaze was like the dark night, deep and terrifying. Furthermore, there will come a day when you will regret your decision. Chapter 379. No one was clearer than Yun Luofeng about Yun Zhao's power. That was why he was so certain that one day, Ling Yao would regret this for the rest of her life. Regret? Ling Yao laughed icily and spoke in a mocking tone. Don't you know? This man of yours isn't a good person. He keeps pestering me and refuses to back out of an arranged marriage. He insists on marrying me, so I reckon that he's only playing with you. For a man like him who keeps pestering me because of my high status, would he give you his heart? Especially towards this kind of man, he would never regret it. The man, who had ignored Ling Yao from the beginning, finally turned his cold eyes to her after hearing these self-righteous words. However, this one look caused Ling Yao's body to tremble. Her heart felt as if it had been squeezed by a hand, and a suffocating feeling came out of nowhere, causing her to feel extreme fear. Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng gently placed his hand on Yun Zhao's arm. His eyes darkened and he spoke in a voice that only the two of them could hear. You can't reveal your power for the time being, so let me handle this matter. Based on what Qin Yuan had told her previously, Yun Xiao must have something that could threaten her life in the hands of the Xiao family. If he were to reveal his power now, the Xiao family would certainly pester him endlessly. Given Yun Zhao's temper, she would never return to the Xiao family. At that time, she would certainly bring danger to him. This was something that she did not wish to see. She's framing me. Yun Xiao retracted the murderous intent on his body, and his demonic red lips curled into a cold and hard angle. His eyes were filled with a cold light. Just now, he had indeed wanted to kill her. Before Yun Luofeng had arrived, he could ignore everyone else. However, he would not allow Yun Luofeng to suffer even the slightest bit of humiliation. Even if he had to risk his life and reveal his power, he would still protect her. I believe you. I believe you. The young girl's melodious voice moved Yun Zhao's heart. The cold light in his deep, dark eyes gradually dissipated as he stared deeply at the young girl next to him. The corners of his lips curled into a shallow angle. Even if one day the entire continent did not believe in him, it was enough as long as she trusted him. Just stand here and don't move. Yun Luofeng gently hugged Yun Xiao, then turned and slowly walked towards Ling Yao. His slightly raised eyebrows raised insolently. Who did you just call trash? Ling Yao was so scared that she took a few steps back. What do you want now? I'll ask you again. Who did you just call trash? Yun Luofeng lifted his chin slightly and looked down at Ling Yao. Ling Yao was clearly afraid of being beaten by Yun Luofeng. She looked pleadingly at Xiao Yuqing, who was beside her. She was filled with regret. If she had met this woman earlier, she would have brought the guards of the Ling clan. At this moment, the other customers in the hall also stopped what they were doing and glanced curiously at Yun Luofeng and the others as they discussed in low voices. This girl is the woman of the Shao clan's trash? I didn't expect that the Shao clan's trash would have such good luck, to actually be able to obtain such a beautiful young lady. Don't underestimate the Shao clan's trash. Even though he doesn't have any power, his looks are of the highest quality. If you could look like him, there would also be women who would throw themselves at you. Sigh, the heavens are really fair. They gave him a perfect appearance but took away all of his innate talent. However, this is all the fault of the trash's mother. I heard that the Shao clan's trash's mother threatened Lin Yu to leave him in order to obtain Shao Qin. Hence, the retribution for her wrongdoings was reaped on her son's head. Chapter 380. Even though those people had purposely lowered their voices, how sharp was Yun Luofeng's hearing? Every single word of their conversation fell into her ears. She bent down and picked up a chopstick from the ground. Then, she turned behind her and with a swoosh, the chopstick brushed past the neck of the youth who had framed Yun Zhao's mother and swiftly pierced into the wall behind him. The originally sturdy wall burst like a bubble, leaving only a black hole where the chopstick had pierced deeply into the wall. The youth was dumbfounded. He wiped his wet neck and looked at his hand. Bright red blood stained his neck and he screamed in fright, "Blood, blood." He almost fainted. Fortunately, the people next to him hurriedly supported him and he was able to stabilize his body. However, anyone could imagine the terror in this youth's heart. Just a little bit more. If the chopstick had been just a little more to the side, his neck might have been pierced by the chopstick and he would have died. This is a warning. Yun Luofeng's black eyes carried a disdainful aura. If I hear anyone insulting his mother again, I will make sure your blood splatters on the spot. The young girl's voice was insolent and her brows were filled with cold arrogance. Xiao Yuqing frowned slightly. Her clear and cold gaze swept towards the grim man dressed in black. Suddenly, a feeling of jealousy arose in her heart. This man was clearly a good-for-nothing, but there was a woman who was willing to get angry for him. She did not hesitate to stain Four Corner City with blood. And no one would be willing to go to such an extent for him. Even his father. If it were not for his extraordinary talent, perhaps his position in the Shao family would be no different from Yun Zhao's. Why would such a powerful family jeopardize their own interests for him? The entire restaurant's main hall instantly regained its silence. Everyone did not even dare to breathe loudly as they looked timidly at the beautiful and demonic young girl in white. Now it's your turn. Yun Luofeng's lips curled into a smile as he turned to look at Ling Yao, who was standing in front of him. All these years, how have you slandered Yun Xiao? Perhaps Yun Luofeng's actions had shocked Ling Yao again. The fear in her eyes deepened and she grabbed Xiao Yuqing's arm tightly with both hands. Brother Yuqing, save me. Xiao Yuqing's frown deepened. He raised his hand and slowly pushed Ling Yao's hand away. He said coldly and emotionlessly, I told you not to cause trouble. Now that you have caused trouble, you have to solve it yourself. The man's heartless voice made Ling Yao's heart turn incomparably cold. It was as if a cold air had entered her heart from the soles of her feet. Bang! Yun Luofeng sent Ling Yao's body flying with a kick. Then, before Ling Yao landed on the ground, she quickly flashed in front of Ling Yao and used the back of her foot to fiercely kick Ling Yao's waist. Like a kick, she sent Ling Yao flying in the air. When she thought of the humiliation Yun Xiao had suffered all these years, Yun Luofeng's heart was filled with a wave of anger. Now, she was venting this anger on Ling Yao, who asked Ling Yao to bump into her head for the second time. After the last kick, Ling Yao's body landed heavily on the ground. Yun Luofeng raised her foot and stepped on it. She said condescendingly, Ling Yao, have you forgotten the pill I fed you? Chapter 381. At this moment, Ling Yao's clothes were in tatters and her entire body was in so much pain that she had curled up into a ball. She could feel that her internal organs had been severely injured and her ribs had all been broken. This woman is so cruel. Ling Yao gritted her teeth and the hatred in her heart intensified. If she had the chance, she would never let this woman off. Of course, she had to find out what the black pill that this woman had fed her was. Do you want to know what that pill is? Yun Luofeng curled the corners of his lips and lowered his eyes to look at Ling Yao's pale face. I call your pill the body-tearing and bone-shattering pill. However, this body-tearing and bone-shattering pill won't really shatter your body, it will only let you experience that kind of pain. I only need a thought to make you taste that kind of pain. I didn't think that after swallowing the body-tearing and bone-shattering pill, you would still dare to come and look for me. Ling Yao's body trembled and she turned her head away stubbornly. She would never believe in the body-tearing and bone-shattering pill. Besides, she had never heard of such a thing. Most importantly, she could make me experience the feeling of my body tearing and bone shattering with just a thought? How could such a miraculous thing happen? This was also why Ling Yao had dared to cause trouble for Yun Luofeng. This was because, during the time that she had left Long Yuan country, she had not felt any discomfort in her body. She had also found a doctor to examine her body, but they had not found anything. Hence, she thought that Yun Luofeng was just exaggerating. In reality, it was just an ordinary pill. You don't believe me? The smile on Yun Luofeng's lips deepened. If you don't believe me, I can let you try it. Hearing the young girl's words, Ling Yao's eyes flashed with disdain. However, before she could continue to ridicule Yun Luofeng, she felt an intense pain in her body. That pain was like a stone grinding fiercely against her bones. Arg! The intense pain caused Ling Yao to scream shrilly. She was in so much pain that her entire body broke out in cold sweat. She trembled uncontrollably and her beautiful eyes revealed a deep sense of fear. The others didn't know what had happened. Just now, when Yun Luofeng had kicked Ling Yao's body, she hadn't screamed so miserably. Now that Yun Luofeng hadn't even touched her, she was screaming instead. Kill me, kill me! Arg! This kind of feeling made Ling Yao want to die. Even death was better than suffering such torture. Do you believe me now? Yun Luofeng chuckled. I already said that this pill is the body-tearing, bone-shattering pill. You didn't believe me, so I naturally had to let you try it. Also, don't let me hear you say the word, trash, again. Otherwise, I'll make your life a living hell. The intense pain slowly disappeared from Ling Yao's body, but her body was still trembling. Now, whenever she thought of the pain she had just endured, fear surfaced in her eyes once again. Yun Luofeng withdrew her foot from Ling Yao and slowly walked to Yun Zhao's side. She stretched lazily and said with a smile, Yun Xiao, I'm tired, let's go back and rest. Other than looking at Ling Yao coldly when she first framed him, he didn't even glance at her for the rest of the time, treating her as if she was air. Indeed, in this world, aside from Yun Luofeng, no other woman was worthy of him wasting his precious time to look at her. Chapter 382. Lin Ruobai, who had turned into an infatuated girl because of Yun Luofeng's domineering manner, finally regained her senses with great difficulty. Only then did she realize that she had been abandoned. She blinked dumbly and had no choice but to accept this reality. For the sake of a man, Master had forgotten about a living person like me. Furthermore, ever since Master's man had appeared, Master only had him in her eyes. She had even lost her disciple without realizing it. Master, wait for me, don't abandon me. Lin Ruobai looked at the delicacies that Yun Luofeng had ruined on the ground. She hardened her heart and quickly threw them in the direction of the restaurant. Because she was too fast, she tripped over the door's sill and fell face first onto the ground. What? Lin Ruobai burst into tears and complained pitifully, Master, don't you realize that there's someone missing by your side? How could you forget about such a living person like me? Master really values a lover over a disciple. Lin Ruobai crawled up from the ground and dusted off the dirt on her pants. Her little mouth bit the corner of her clothes tightly and her resentful gaze was like an abandoned puppy. Yun Luofeng walked on the sidewalk. The smile on her lips was filled with laziness as her black eyes turned towards the perfect side profile of the man beside her. Yun Xiao, Qin Yuan has told me everything about you. Yun Xiao was slightly taken aback and frowned. He made a mistake. He's worried about you. Yun Luofeng raised her brows. Furthermore, I hope that no matter what happens, you will tell me. I will face it together with you. When we return, don't punish him. He's a very loyal subordinate. All right. Yun Xiao nodded. If you plead for him, I'll let him go. Hearing Yun Zhao's reply, Yun Luofeng relaxed. Then, she seemed to remember something and frowned. Did I forget something? Yun Xiao thought for a moment. I don't think so. Oh. Yun Luofeng's frown relaxed and she said lazily, then let's go rest, I'm tired. Poor Xiaobai. She didn't even know that she had been abandoned by her master who valued a lover over a disciple. She could only pitifully ask the passers-by for directions to the Xiao family home. At this moment, her heart felt like it was being trampled by thousands of horses. Auntie, you have to avenge me. In the backyard of the Xiao family, Ling Yao threw herself into Lin Yu's arms. She couldn't help but burst into tears. What happened? A trace of disgust flashed across Lin Yu's eyes. However, when she looked at Ling Yao, she put away the disgust in her eyes and said gently, Tell me, who bullied you? Ling Yao wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. Her pale little face was filled with resentment. I met a woman on the road just now. Not only did that woman seduce Big Brother Yuqing, she even hit me and fed me poison. She wanted me to submit to her so that I would give Big Brother Yuqing to her. What? Lin Yu's fair hand landed heavily on the table. Her beautiful eyes, which resembled that of a venomous snake, were filled with a gloomy expression. Which woman is so audacious as to dream about my Yuqing? Yuqing's status is so noble, how can some boorish woman have delusions about him? In her heart, Xiao Yuqing was the most outstanding and also the pride of her life. She would never allow such a vulgar woman to dream of obtaining Xiao Yuqing. Chapter 383. Ling Yao lowered her eyelids and clenched her fists tightly. She has returned to the Xiao family with that good-for-nothing and is now living in that good-for-nothing's courtyard. I suspect that she is only with that good-for-nothing as a temporary measure to enter the Xiao family first so that she can get closer to Brother Yuqing. Hearing Ling Yao's words, Lin Yu's expression darkened. Suddenly, she stood up and a cold light flashed across her eyes. Let's go, we'll go find her now. This woman was actually so audacious to think of someone she shouldn't have. And she absolutely could not tolerate such a thing happening. In the silent east courtyard, only the chirping of a small bird could be heard. Yun Luofeng leaned lazily against the doorsill and crossed her arms over her chest. She glanced at the simple yet elegant room in front of her. Gradually, her gaze turned towards the grim man next to her. Yun Xiao, I want to know, what does the Xiao family use to control you? Yun Xiao was silent for a moment and her dark eyes were deep. Every member of the Xiao family, upon birth, will hand over a portion of their soul power. This soul power is sealed in a jade tablet. If the jade tablet is damaged, I will become an idiot at best and die at worst. An injury to the soul is not easy to recover, especially for him. His portion of soul power is still in the Xiao family's control. If it was only the portion of soul power that was in his possession, it would not be so dangerous. Most importantly, the jade tablet that seals the soul power is made of a special item. Once you possess this jade tablet, it is equivalent to possessing the person's life. If you want him to die, he definitely won't be able to live past midnight. This is why Yun Xiao has not made a move against the Xiao family all these years. Do you know where the jade tablet is? Yun Luofeng frowned and asked. Yun Xiao pursed his thin lips and looked at the frowning young girl next to him. I'm not sure yet. I'm still investigating where the jade tablet is hidden. Once I get the jade tablet, I won't let a single member of the Xiao family off. Especially the woman who had thrown him into the forest of no return. Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng gently held Yun Xiao's hand and stared at him seriously. I will help you. In this half a year, Yun Xiao had helped her too much. This time, it was her turn to help him. The girl's words caused the man's cold gaze to gradually change. Just as he was about to speak, the sound of footsteps came from outside the courtyard. After hearing these footsteps, his brows furrowed again, and his expression returned to its usual coldness. Not too long after, Lin Yu's figure appeared in the courtyard. Her beautiful face was enveloped in a layer of frost as her furious gaze pierced through Yun Xiao and landed on Yun Luofeng. Are you the woman who wants to have my son? Lin Yu sneered, slightly raised her chin, and said arrogantly, Little girl, I see that you are so young. How could you do such a shameless thing? I know that you only have your eyes on our Xiao family's power and wealth. How about this? I'll give you 1,000,000 taels, And you can leave the Xiao family immediately. Yun Luofeng raised her eyebrows evilly. She turned to look at the man standing beside her and curled her lips. When did you get a mother? The man's cold gaze swept across Lin Yu's body. He then turned his head and stared deeply at Yun Luofeng with his dark eyes. I don't know her. The conversation between the two of them nearly drove Lin Yu mad with anger. Her venomous eyes stared fixedly at Yun Luofeng as she said coldly, Little girl, don't pretend to understand when you don't. You know that I'm talking about Xiao Yuqing. Chapter 384. Yun Luofeng glanced at Lin Yu. I don't know where you get your confidence from to think that I've taken a fancy to Xiao Yuqing. Lin Yu suppressed the anger in her heart and a sarcastic smile appeared on her beautiful face. I've seen many young ladies like you. I don't believe that you would take a fancy to a good-for-nothing. Hence, your motive for coming to the Xiao family is extremely obvious. I'll give you one chance. Take 1,000,000 taels and scram. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Yun Luofeng narrowed his eyes and a dangerous light flashed in his evil eyes. Don't you think that 1,000,000 taels is too little? How about I spend 10,000,000 taels to buy your life? How about I spend 10,000,000 taels to buy your life? The young lady's voice was arrogant and domineering. It was filled with arrogance and disdain. Lin Yu's expression changed drastically. Her gloomy eyes flashed with anger and she scoffed coldly. I've seen many young ladies trying to climb into my son's bed, but you're the most shameless one. I advise you to stop daydreaming. My son will never take a fancy to an arrogant woman like you. Boom. Just as she finished speaking, a powerful force suddenly shot towards her from the front and hit her chest fiercely. Her body flew out abruptly. Thump. She fell heavily into the corner, and there was a vicious glint in her narrowed eyes. Who hurt me just now? Yun Xiao? Or this young lady? Impossible. Yun Xiao is only a good-for-nothing and this young lady is so young. She must not be very powerful. What Lin Yu did not notice was that when her body flew out, the grim man who had been silent slowly retracted his palm as if nothing had happened. Thump, 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 thump. Before Lin Yu could catch her breath, a stream of qi rampaged inside her body as if it was trying to break out of her body. She screamed in pain. Yun Luofeng glanced at the man standing next to him as he watched Lin Yu's miserable state. In the end, he had not been able to control himself and had attacked her. However, she could understand the man's feelings. No matter how others humiliated him, he could ignore it. However, he could not ignore the humiliation that those people had inflicted on him. If Lin Yu had not insulted her, perhaps Yun Xiao would not have made a move at this time. I was the one who attacked just now. Yun Luofeng pressed Yun Xiao's hand tightly. His arrogant eyes glanced at Lin Yu. What can you do to me? She could not let others know of Yun Xiao's power, otherwise, it would definitely bring her trouble. That was why she decided to take the blame for everything. Moreover, even if Yun Xiao had not made a move earlier, she would have made a move to injure her. Guards! Lin Yu stood up with a pale face and a gloomy look on her face. Wah wah wah! Countless guards rushed in from outside and instantly surrounded the entire courtyard. They pointed their weapons at Yun Luofeng and Yun Xiaoling, surrounding them in the middle. Lin Yu's eyes darkened, and she said in a cold voice, Catch this woman. Yun Xiao furrowed his brows and pulled Yun Luofeng behind him. His grim eyes stared at the gloomy Lin Yu. His black robes fluttered in the gentle breeze, faintly revealing a murderous intent. Oh! When Lin Yu saw how protective Yun Xiao was of Yun Luofeng, she spoke in a peculiar tone, I never thought that a good-for-nothing like you would protect a woman. TSK, I have a whole new level of respect for you. Unfortunately, do you think that someone like you can protect her? Chapter 385. Her face was clearly filled with disdain as if she had no regard for Yun Xiao, who was standing in front of Yun Luofeng. Yun Xiao's eyes grew even colder. The aura from his body was like a raging river, dangerous and wild. Yun Xiao, have you forgotten what I've said to you? Yun Luofeng gently patted Yun Xiao's shoulder. I've said this before. Leave this matter to me. Yun Xiao's body stiffened and he slowly retracted the aura from his body. He then turned around and looked at the peerless young woman who was standing in front of him. He thought for a moment before he said, You can hit her however you like. He would always be there to back her up in everything. When have I, Yun Luofeng, ever been lenient? Yun Luofeng narrowed his eyes and smiled evilly as he walked towards Lin Yu. Lin Yu's expression changed and she shouted, "Attack him immediately!" Madam! Upon hearing Lin Yu's order, the guards quickly stepped forward and charged towards Yun Luofeng. Her snow-white robes fluttered in the gentle breeze. The young woman's peerless face lit up with a smile as her pitch-black eyes stared emotionlessly at the guards who were charging towards her. The wind around her grew stronger as her aura expanded. Boom! The aura around the young girl exploded like a bomb, fiercely slamming into the guards. Before they could even reach Yun Luofeng, they were affected by the explosive force. Their bodies were sent flying, and the weapons in their hands fell to the ground. Yun Luofeng's gaze slowly shifted to Lin Yu's body. Her evil smile revealed an awe-inspiring killing intent, causing people's hearts to tremble involuntarily. Now, it's your turn. An earth spirit. Lin Yu's expression changed, and a mid-level earth spirit at that? At this moment, she could clearly sense Yun Luofeng's undisguised aura. Her beautiful face sank. Even though her talents were not bad, she was only a low-level earth spirit. This young woman's aura was clearly higher than hers, so she must be a mid-level earth spirit. The difference of one level was like the difference between heaven and earth. Lin Yu gritted her teeth. You're quite bold to actually dare to cause trouble in the Xiao family home. Do you think that you can do whatever you want just because you're a mid-level earth spirit? My father is a celestial spirit stage powerhouse. You won't be able to withstand a single blow from him. No matter how strong the Xiao clan's patriarch is, he hasn't arrived here yet. I can kill you before he arrives. The Xiao family had many courtyards, and they were divided into the north, south, east, and west directions. Therefore, Xiao Lin still needed a period of time after he received the news. Lin Yu took a few steps back in fear when she saw the sinister smile on the young girl's face. She leaned her back against the wall, and her face became paler. Just as she was thinking about how to escape, a delicate voice came from outside the door, causing Yun Luofeng's eyes to narrow. Big brother Yuqing, I've already told you that this woman is bullying Auntie, but you just wouldn't listen. If we had come a little later, Auntie would definitely have died in her hands. This familiar voice made Yun Luofeng's lips curl into a smile. Ling Yao really wasn't afraid of death? He clearly knew the taste of the body-tearing, bone-shattering pill, yet he still came knocking on his door? It seemed that Xiao Yuqing held a very important place in her heart. Outside the courtyard, a man in cyan clothes rushed in and appeared in front of Lin Yu. Then he gently supported her tottering body. Chapter 386. Ling Yao, who had followed them into the courtyard, did not even have the courage to look at Yun Luofeng. She quickly walked to Lin Yu's side and gritted her teeth. Her pretty face was still pale. The taste of the body-tearing, bone-shattering pill may be unbearable, but she would rather endure this torture so that Big Brother Yuqing would give up on Yun Luofeng. Knowing Big Brother Yuqing's character, he would never allow anyone to hurt Aunt. Ling Yao's lips curled into a complacent smile and the space between her brows shone brightly. Perhaps she has already seen Xiao Yuqing's hatred towards Yun Luofeng and the complacency in her heart grew. Unfortunately, things did not go as planned. After Xiao Yuqing supported Lin Yu's body, his clear and cold eyes turned towards Yun Luofeng. I've said this before, my mother is not the kind of person you've described her to be. She was not a concubine, she and my father have always loved each other. So, I will prove this to you. However, during this time, I don't want you to hurt my mother. Hurt her? When did you see me hurt her? Yun Luofeng smiled coldly as he asked. Xiao Yuqing did not reply. He looked at the unharmed Yun Luofeng and then at Ling Yao, who had blood trickling from the corner of her mouth. His meaning was very clear. Furthermore, Yun Luofeng paused. So what if I hurt her? Back then, she had thrown Yun Xiao into the forest of no return, and he had nearly lost his life. Just this incident alone is enough for him to die a few hundred times over. My mother has never done such a thing. Xiao Yuqing furrowed his brows and swept his cold gaze towards Yun Xiao. I hope that you won't let your lust get to your head. Some things need to be rational. Don't jump to conclusions before you've investigated the truth. I will investigate this matter thoroughly and clear my mother's name. The truth? Yun Luofeng curled the corners of his lips and sneered. What I say is the truth. Arrogant and domineering. What she says is the truth. What other kind of truth do you want? Xiao Yuqing's expression grew even colder and his brows were tightly furrowed. Forget it, I'll look for you after I've investigated the matter. I don't want you to be used by others. Now, I'm going to take my mother away. I can pretend that nothing has happened today. After saying this, Xiao Yuqing supported Lin Yu and turned around to leave. However, an evil and awe-inspiring voice rang out behind him, causing him to stop in his tracks. You can go, but she must stay. Yun Luofeng's gaze was filled with disdain. It was as if he was standing at the pinnacle, overlooking all life on the continent. Her hatred for Lin Yu had long been engraved in her heart. Now that he had finally encountered such an opportunity, how could he let her go so easily? I know that your background is not ordinary. Xiao Yuqing turned to look at Yun Luofeng. But this is the Xiao family. You only have the power of an earth spirit. If you anger my grandfather, I cannot help you. Brother Yuqing. Ling Yao curled her lips. What's so special about this woman? She is just the daughter of an ordinary noble from Long Yuan country. Our Xiao family does not need to fear such a person. Xiao Yuqing remained silent, as if she hadn't heard Ling Yao's words. Her cold eyes were fixed on Yun Luofeng. She stays or both of you stay. Yun Luofeng raised his brows and said. Xiao Yuqing wanted to continue persuading Yun Luofeng, but at this moment, an oppressive force came from nowhere and pressed down on his body like a heavy stone, rendering him unable to move. Chapter 387. Brother Yuqing, what's wrong? Ling Yao noticed Xiao Yuqing's strange behavior and her expression changed as she asked anxiously. Xiao Yuqing gently pursed his thin lips as his eyes darkened. He hurriedly used his consciousness to search, but he could not find out where this coercion had come from. Of course, based on Xiao Yuqing's level of power, he would not be able to discover that this coercion had come from Yun Xiao. Since Yun Luofeng had decided to handle this matter personally, he would not step forward. However, this does not mean that he would allow Yun Luofeng to fight alone. If he could not help her openly, what harm would there be in helping her in secret? He was willing to be the man behind her back. You had a good time cursing me, didn't you? Yun Luofeng's body flashed and appeared in front of Lin Yu. Her face lit up with an evil smile as her pitch-black eyes stared at Lin Yu with a smile. Did you use to humiliate Yun Xiao and his mother like this? Qing. Lin Yu's expression changed, and she quickly tried to hide behind Xiao Yuqing. Unfortunately, Xiao Yuqing could not move at all. His entire body felt as if it was being crushed under a great mountain, as if there was a weight of 1,000 kilograms on his back. Mother, hurry and leave. Don't worry about me, hurry and leave. Xiao Yuqing roared at the top of his lungs. His forehead was drenched in cold sweat and his handsome face was glowing with a pale light. After hearing Xiao Yuqing's words, Lin Yu did not even think twice before she turned around and ran out of the courtyard. She did not even care about her own son and only thought about running for her life. Xiao Yuqing's heart turned cold at the sight of this. He could not understand it himself. He had clearly asked his mother to run for her life, so why would his heart turn so cold when he saw her fleeing figure? Thump. Just as Xiao Yuqing's heart sank to rock bottom, a white figure quickly shot out of the courtyard. Lin Yu was then kicked back and rolled in front of Xiao Yuqing with a thud. Did you see that? Yun Luofeng looked at Xiao Yuqing. This is your mother. She only cared about running for her life and did not care about yours. Do you think that someone like her could be kind? Xiao Yuqing pursed his thin lips and remained silent. His mother was indeed very selfish at times, but he still could not believe that she would be so selfish as to harm the flesh and blood of the Xiao family. Lin Yu climbed up and glared fiercely at Yun Luofeng. Don't listen to this woman's nonsense. I am going to find your grandfather. When your grandfather comes, she will definitely die without a burial place. Hearing Lin Yu's words, Xiao Yuqing's heart, which was originally as cold as ice, gradually calmed down. She said in a gentle voice, Mother, I believe you. As long as she said it, he would believe it. Yun Luofeng sneered and ignored the immobile Xiao Yuqing. Instead, he gradually approached Lin Yu. How did you treat them back then? Lin Yu was taken aback. She stepped back and asked, What do you mean? I've never done anything heinous to them. Don't slander me in front of my son. In any case, there was no one to testify for what had happened back then. So what if she refused to admit it? Yun Luofeng kicked Lin Yu's stomach, causing her to fall to the ground. He stepped on her from a high position. You only need to answer my questions. Don't give me any excuses. At that moment, Ling Yao was so frightened that she hid in a corner. She, who had already been tortured several times, did not dare to step forward and say a word. Otherwise, what awaited her would be severe torture. Chapter 388. Stop! Suddenly, an enraged roar rang out from behind and charged towards Yun Luofeng with a powerful aura. Just as the aura was about to reach Yun Luofeng, an even more powerful aura collided with it and dispersed the aura in the air. Yun Xiao retracted his aura and his cold eyes gradually turned towards the crowd rushing over from outside the courtyard. At the same time, Yun Luofeng put his foot down from Lin Yu's chest. His gaze slowly swept over the group of people who were quickly approaching. His pitch-black eyes narrowed slightly, and an evil light surged out from them. Xiao Chen's expression changed greatly. He quickly walked to Lin Yu's side and asked anxiously, Are you all right? Cough cough. Lin Yu coughed and shook her head weakly. I'm fine. How dare you? After seeing that his beloved woman was fine, Xiao Chen turned his gaze towards Yun Luofeng and said angrily, How dare you injure someone in my Xiao family? You're lawless. Xiao, is this the woman you brought back? When he said the last sentence, his gaze turned towards Yun Xiao. Yun Xiao frowned and said coldly, My name is Yun Xiao. Clearly, he was very dissatisfied with the way Xiao Chen had addressed him. He was no longer a member of the Xiao family. He was only Yun Xiao of the Yun family. Unfilial son. Xiao Chen's expression changed and he shouted angrily, You ungrateful ingrate, have you forgotten who raised you? Now you've actually changed your surname. You're simply throwing the Xiao family's face. From Xiao Chen's point of view, only the Xiao family could remove Yun Zhao's name from the ancestral hall. They could not allow him to change his surname without permission. Even if his name was still not in the Xiao family's ancestral hall, he had no right to become a member of another family. Yun Xiao was expressionless and his gaze was cold. I was chased out of the family when I was 7. In other words, he had been chased out of the family when he was 7, so the Xiao family could not be considered to have raised him. Xiao Chen was so angry that he was almost speechless. Luckily, an unfilial son like you is no longer a member of the Xiao family. Otherwise, I would really be angered to death by you. If you were as outstanding as Yu Qing, I wouldn't be so angry. Xiao Lin glanced at the infuriated Xiao Chen, then turned his gaze towards Yun Xiao. Xiao, you're in the wrong in this matter. Even if you're no longer a member of the Xiao family, you can't just simply give yourself a new surname. Furthermore, you still have the blood of the Xiao family in your veins. If you use the power of your bloodline to help Yu Qing open the secret realm this time, I'll give you a way out and allow you to return to the family. By then, you'll still have to change back to your previous surname. To the Xiao family, letting their own bloodline follow someone else's surname was a very shameful thing. Even if this person who possessed the bloodline of the Xiao family was no longer qualified to bear the surname Xiao. Yun Luofeng stood quietly at the side, staring coldly at the people in front of him. And they were Yun Zhao's so-called relatives. Not only did he not allow him to use the surname Xiao, he also did not allow him to change his surname. It could only make him lose his surname. At that moment, Yun Luofeng's heart ached. She felt sorrow for Yun Xiao. He really couldn't imagine how much humiliation and disdain he had endured before he was 7 years old. And this humiliation had been inflicted upon him by his relatives. It was no wonder that it had resulted in his cold personality today. Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng grabbed Yun Zhao's hand tightly. After feeling the coldness of the man's palm, she said sincerely, You still have me and the Yun family. Chapter 389. No matter what, she would never abandon him. The corners of Yun Zhao's lips gently rose into a shallow arc. His smile was very beautiful and it could easily strike a person's heart. However, this peerlessly beautiful smile, he would only bloom on one person. I have you. That's enough. He could abandon the entire world. As long as she was by his side, that was enough. Little Xiao. Xiao Lin's expression darkened. If you insist on protecting this woman, you're no longer a member of the Xiao family. Yun Xiao held Yun Luofeng's hand tightly. The curve of his lips disappeared when he turned to face Xiao Lin. He regained his usual coldness and said expressionlessly, "The Xiao family needs the power of my bloodline." Hearing this, Xiao Lin frowned. "What are you trying to say?" "Let her beat you up," the man said coldly. Xiao Lin knew that Yun Xiao was protective of Yun Luofeng, but he did not expect it to be to this extent. Was he threatening him? Good. Very good. In this lifetime, he was the only one who had the courage to threaten him. "Little Xiao, do you know what you're saying?" Xiao Lin's eyes darkened as he asked coldly. "I know." The man's words were as concise as ever. To him, it was as if talking to these people was a waste of time. "You're threatening me because of a woman?" "That's right, you do have the ability to threaten me now. Who asked the Xiao family to have the pure power of the bloodline and only lack you? However, once the secret territory opens, you'll be useless. Are you sure you want to threaten me because of a woman?" Xiao Lin's chest was filled with anger. He realized that he could not see through this grandson of his. Yun Zhao's gaze swept across the beautiful girl next to him. As long as she's happy. What he meant was that as long as Yun Luofeng was happy, he was willing to let her do anything. Xiao Lin chuckled. His voice was filled with anger. "Xiaochen, you've given birth to a good son. So good that you're threatening his grandfather because of an outsider." Xiaochen smiled coldly. "Father, you're mistaken. I only have one son, Yuqing. A good-for-nothing like him has no right to be my son. I can't give birth to such a good-for-nothing son." "Oomph." Xiao Lin fiercely shook his sleeves and said with a cold expression, "Xiao, remember the decision you made today. When you can no longer threaten me, I won't easily forgive your mistake this time. Let's go." After saying this, Xiao Lin turned around and walked out of the courtyard. "Father!" Xiaochen panicked and quickly chased after him. "Father, if you leave just like that, what about you?" Xiao Lin paused and said, "Do you want Yuqing to be the clan leader or do you want your wife? Think about it carefully." With that, he quickly left the place without looking back. Only the heavens knew how sullen Xiao Lin was feeling right now, but he was helpless. Who asked him to need this piece of trash now? Xiao Chen remained silent for a while. In the end, he made up his mind and hurriedly walked out of the courtyard. In order to make his son the patriarch, he was willing to give up Lin Yu. Lin Yu's heart turned cold as she stared at the direction where Xiao Chen had left. A bitter smile appeared on her seductive features. Husband and wife are birds in the same forest. When disaster strikes, they fly separately. This saying is indeed true. No matter how well Xiao Chen has treated me in the past, he doesn't care about me at a time like this. Chapter 390. Yun Luofeng raised his eyes slightly and looked down at the beautiful woman sitting on the ground. He could give up on Yun Zhao's mother before. Now, he can also give up on you. Lin Yu scoffed icily and closed her eyes. Her pale face slowly displayed a sense of despair. "Don't worry, I won't let you die so quickly." Yun Luofeng took a few steps closer to Lin Yu. The smile on his lips contained a hint of evil, because it's not time for you to die yet. This woman's life must be taken care of by Yun Xiao himself. Right now, she was just venting the anger in her heart. Four Corner City was led by the three great families. The three great families were the Xiao family, the Ling family, and the Wei family. Other than being extremely powerful in Four Corner City, the three great families also held great weight in the entire spirit realm. At this moment, in the Wei family, which was the leader of the three great families, Old Master Wei hurriedly ran out of the main hall. He saw the cute girl standing in the courtyard with a single glance and quickly walked up to her. There was a group of guards lying around the girl. They were all wailing and rolling on the ground, clearly injured. "Oh my little ancestor, why are you here?" Old Man Wei walked to the cute girl's side and glared fiercely at the guards lying on the ground. "You bastards, do you think you can offend this little ancestor?" The guards were extremely sad. They never thought that this inconspicuous little girl would be acquainted with the patriarch. Also, it seemed that the patriarch was a little afraid of her. Little ancestor, come in and sit. Does your father know that you're here? Old Man Wei walked forward with a smile, his words filled with flattery. Lin Ruobai grabbed Old Man Wei's beard and twirled it around her finger. Old Man Wei, your four-corner city is too big. I've asked for directions for a long time, but I still can't find the place I want to go. Hurry up and take me to Master. Your master? Old Master Wei blinked blankly. This little ancestor has a master? Who was so powerful that this little ancestor would take him as her master? That's right, my master valued his lover over his disciple and threw me away. Until now, he still hasn't remembered that he's missing me. I can only go find her myself, but I don't know the way. Old Fart Wei, quickly send someone to send me there. Lin Ruobai blinked her big bright eyes and said with a smile. This? Old Master Wei asked timidly, who is your master? Where is he? This little ancestor was a little devil, and her master was most likely a great devil. Seems like I won't have a good life. My master ran away with the Xiao family. Lin Ruobai pursed his lips, his eyes filled with grievance. Hurry up and send me over. Otherwise, I'll tell my father that you bullied me. Don't, my little ancestor. I'll take you to the Xiao clan right now. A layer of cold sweat appeared on Old Man Wei's forehead. If this little ancestor were to go home and look down on him, then his position as the head of the Wei clan would be over. However, what he didn't expect was that the Xiao family's luck was actually so good that they managed to abduct this little ancestor's master. And the only person in the Xiao family who could attract a woman's attention was Xiao Yuqing. Could it be that the person who had abducted this little ancestor's master was Xiao Yuqing? The more Old Man Wei thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. It seemed like he had to change his attitude towards the Xiao clan in the future. Being able to form a relationship with this little ancestor was equivalent to stepping onto a big boat with a limitless future. Chapter 391. At the Xiao family home. In the east courtyard, Yun Luofeng stared condescendingly at Lin Yu, who had been beaten beyond recognition by her. A cold light flashed in her eyes. Back then, I will repay you bit by bit for everything you've done for Yun Xiao. Lin Yu's body trembled as she bit her lip. Her malicious eyes were like daggers dipped in poison as she glared fixedly at Yun Luofeng. Yun Xiao, let's go. Yun Luofeng did not spare her another glance as she slowly turned away and walked towards Yun Xiao. Her peerless features were lit up with a moving smile and her black eyes were as bright as the stars in the night sky. One could not help but be drawn into her gaze. The man nodded silently. His expressionless face was cold and grim. Just as Yun Luofeng reached the door, she suddenly remembered something and paused in her steps. Yun Xiao, I've finally remembered what I've forgotten. What is it? Yun Xiao's eyes fell upon the young girl as she asked. Xiaobai. Yun Luofeng curled the corners of her lips. I've left that fellow Xiaobai. She had been feeling awkward all over just now, as if she had forgotten something. Only now did she remember that little girl, Lin Ruobai. One could imagine how bitter she must have felt after being forgotten. In the great hall, Xiao Lin hurriedly went out to welcome the servant upon hearing his report. He immediately saw an old man and a young girl standing in the courtyard. The old man was majestic and his snow-white beard fluttered in the wind. Dressed in navy blue robes, he looked like a treasured blade that had yet to age. Next to him was an adorable young girl in white robes. This young girl had been looking around randomly with her large eyes as if she was searching for something. Master Wei, why have you come? Xiao Lin burst into laughter and stepped forward to welcome him. His eyes stared curiously at the young girl in white who was standing next to the old man. After all, he had never seen this little girl in the Wei family home. Master Xiao, Master Wei smiled. This little girl is a relative of mine. She's here to look for her master. Lin Ruobai's identity was very special. Based on Xiao Lin's abilities, he didn't have the right to know her true identity. Thus, he referred to her as a relative. Oh! A look of astonishment flashed across Xiao Lin's eyes. I wonder who this young lady's master is? Old Master Wei didn't wait for Lin Ruobai's reply. He smiled and said, "You should ask Yuqing about this. Her master ran away with Xiao Yuqing of the Xiao family, so I'm guessing that only Xiao Yuqing knows where her master is?" "Yuqing? Is her master Ling Yao?" There was some surprise in Xiao Lin's eyes. There was only Ling Yao by Yuqing's side. Who would have thought that the Ling family would have a relationship with the Wei family? In this way, the three major factions of Four Corner City could be considered to have completely merged together. Ling Yao? Lin Ruobai curled his lips and said disdainfully, "How could that bitch be my master? My father's foresight isn't so bad that he would find such a slut to be my master." Even though Lin Ruobai had been cut off from the world for a very long time, she had grown up in that environment. How could she not understand the intrigue? Therefore, she had deliberately revealed this information. Her motive was to let Old Master Wei know that her father had chosen her master for her and that her status was so noble. Chapter 392. Old Master Wei's expression became much more serious. Lin Ruobai becoming a disciple herself and Lin Jingfeng's decision were two completely different things. If Lin Jingfeng had chosen this master for her, then that person's status in spirit realm would be unparalleled. Old Master Wei. Xiao Lin frowned, his expression clearly displeased. Ling Yao is not just the daughter of the Ling family, she is the future mistress of the Xiao family. Isn't this girl lacking in upbringing by calling her that? Lacking in upbringing? Lin Ruobai's expression darkened. She had lived for so many years, and no one had ever dared to say that she lacked in upbringing. Umph! She snorted, and a trace of ridicule flashed across her adorable doll-like face. "Not only am I calling her a slut, I'm also going to say that Xiao Yuqing from your Xiao family insists on pestering my master. My master already has a man, so there's no way he'll like Xiao Yuqing. You'd better take care of your clan members first before educating me." Xiao Lin's expression darkened completely. At the start, when Lin Ruobai had insulted Ling Yao, he had endured because Ling Yao was not a member of the Xiao family. The second reason was that Old Master Wei was the leader of the three families and he had to give him face. He hadn't thought that this girl would go so far as to insult Yuqing. She even said that Yuqing was pestering her master? What a joke! If Yuqing liked her master, would her master reject him? She would probably have leapt at him already. This. Old Master Wei looked in shock at Lin Ruobai. If it wasn't Xiao Yuqing who took away your master, then who? In the Xiao family, the most outstanding disciple was Xiao Yuqing. Therefore, Old Master Wei could not imagine who else other than Xiao Yuqing could take away this little ancestor's master. Lin Ruobai twisted her lips. "Doesn't Old Master Xiao have a grandson? He's the one who took away my master." Xiao Lin had just recovered from his anger when he heard Lin Ruobai's words. He could not stop himself from mocking. "So the woman that trash brought back is your master? Like master, like disciple. You are all the same, lacking in upbringing." At this moment, Old Man Wei was still in a state of shock. Perhaps he had never imagined that Lin Ruobai's master would be related to that good-for-nothing from the Xiao family. If he had not insisted on personally sending this little ancestor to the Xiao clan today, he might have missed this piece of news. At that time, he would definitely have made an irreparable mistake. Fortunately, he came and didn't step on the wrong boat. Old Man Wei took a deep breath. He had originally wanted Xiao Lin to bring them to see Yun Luofeng, but Xiao Lin's mocking voice suddenly sounded in his ears. His old face instantly darkened. "Xiao family head, I will leave this little girl in your Xiao family for now. However, let me warn you, no matter what she wants to do, it is best to comply with her. Otherwise, if your Xiao family encounters any calamity, I will not be able to help you." Xiao Lin was really living too much. He actually dared to say such words in front of the little ancestor. If these words were to reach the ears of that person, the Xiao clan would immediately be removed from the three great clans. Sadly, this little ancestor's identity was far too special and he couldn't say it out loud. Or else Xiao Lin wouldn't dare to speak to her in such a manner. However, towards Old Man Wei's kind reminder, Xiao Lin only scoffed coldly, not taking it to heart. "Old Man Wei," Lin Ruobai blinked his eyes slightly and said with a grin, "Can you help me capture him?" Chapter 393. Old Man Wei was shocked. He then smiled bitterly and said, "My little ancestor, Xiao Lin is the master of the Xiao family after all. This doesn't seem very appropriate, does it?" Just as he spoke, Lin Ruabai grabbed Old Man Wei's beard and threatened him sinisterly. "Old Man Wei, are you going to listen to me or not? If you don't go and capture him, I'll burn your beard." Old Man Wei shook his head in exasperation. He turned his gaze towards Xiao Lin and his elderly features carried an apologetic smile. "Master Xiao, I'm really sorry. It's your fault for offending this little ancestor. I have no choice but to put you through this." Xiao Lin took a step back when he saw the smile on Old Man Wei's face. He then berated him coldly, "What are you trying to do? Don't think that I'm afraid of you just because the Wei family is the leader of the three great families. I'm warning you, if you dare to touch me, don't blame me for joining forces with the Ling family against the Wei family." "Hee hee," Old Master Wei chuckled. "I have no choice, so I can only ask you to bear with me." Once he had spoken, his elderly figure moved like a gust of wind and quickly passed through the guards in front of him. He then charged towards Xiao Chen. Both of them were at the Heavenly Spirit stage, but Xiao Chen was only a mid-level Heavenly Spirit stage while Old Man Wei had broken through to a high-level Heavenly Spirit stage. The difference of one level was like the difference between heaven and earth. Hence, before Xiao Chen could even react, Old Man Wei had grabbed his shoulder fiercely. "Little ancestor, I've already caught him. Do whatever you want." Old Man Wei smiled and turned towards Lin Ruabai as he spoke. Lin Ruabai smiled sinisterly. Suddenly, a flame appeared in the palm of her hand and she stepped towards Xiao Chen. The Xiao family guards wanted to step forward and stop Lin Ruabai. However, before they could reach Lin Ruabai, their robes were set ablaze by the flame in her hand. They hurriedly threw down their weapons in terror and tried desperately to extinguish the flames on their bodies. "Wei Lianya, is this little girl your illegitimate daughter? Why are you indulging her like this?" Xiao Lin roared angrily when he saw Lin Ruabai walking towards him. This young lass was definitely an illegitimate daughter that old Fart Wei secretly had outside. If not, why would the always impartial old Master Wei do such a thing? Puchi. The flames in Lin Ruabai's palm instantly ignited Xiao Lin's beard. Her cute little face was filled with arrogance. "It's fine if you scold me, but you even dare to scold my master. Today I will burn your beard, strip you naked and throw you out." Xiao Lin was so angry that his entire body was trembling. He wanted to struggle free from Old Man Wei's grasp, but Old Man Wei's hand was pressing down on him tightly, making him unable to move. "Wei Lianya, you old hooligan, you secretly gave birth to an illegitimate daughter, and you actually dare to tell me that she is your relative. If she is only a relative, would you indulge her like this?" Wei Lianya furrowed his brows. His eyes no longer had the apologetic look from before. He looked coldly at Xiao Lin and said, "Xiao Lin, don't forget that a loose tongue can cause trouble." "Hee hee," Xiao Lin laughed mockingly. "What, are you in my hands? You're an old hooligan. Shameless and vulgar." Hearing Xiao Lin's words, Wei Lianya's expression darkened. "Xiao Lin, no matter what you say now, I only want you to remember one thing. If this little ancestor loses even a single hair on her body, don't even think about keeping your Xiao family." Chapter 394. What he meant was that if Lin Ruabai suffered any damage, his beloved daughter would definitely not let the Xiao family off. But in Xiao Lin's ears, it became that if Lin Ruabai lost even a single hair, he, Wei Lianya, would definitely not let him off. "Wei Lianxing, if you indulge this little girl like this, she'll definitely become even more lawless in the future. At that time, it'll cause irreversible consequences, and your Wei clan will be dragged down by her. So, you better think this through clearly." Xiao Lin gritted his teeth and said word by word. Wei Lianxing saw that his words did not have any effect. He laughed coldly and no longer paid attention to the struggling Xiao Lin. His gaze slowly turned to Lin Ruabai. "Little ancestor, you can start. Don't worry, with me holding him down, he won't even be able to move." The corners of Lin Ruabai's lips curled up into an innocent smile, and his big, bright eyes glowed with a bright light. "This old man's beard is a little short, but it's been a long time since I've burned my beard for fun, so I can use him to test it." Who asked this bastard to humiliate Master? Master was someone that even her father respected. No one had the right to humiliate her. The flames in Lin Ruobai's hands once again leaped toward Xiao Lin, causing his robes to also start burning. However, these flames seemed to have eyes, only burning his beard and clothes. Not long after, Xiao Lin's chin became bald, and his clothes turned into ashes that floated in the air. The skin on his naked body was already extremely loose, like the bark of an old tree. Old Fart Wei, throw this old bastard out for me. I want to make him lose all his face. Lin Ruobai arrogantly raised her cute little face, her soft voice carrying a tinge of determination. Okay. With a bang, after old Fart Wei agreed to it, he lifted Xiao Lin up and threw him out of the door. On the street outside of the Xiao clan, there were people coming and going. No one noticed Xiao Lin, who had been thrown out. Only when the muffled sound rang out did everyone turn their gazes over. They stared in astonishment at Xiao Lin, who was lying on the street with his clothes completely burnt. Isn't this the Xiao family's master? How did he end up in such a sorry state? I don't know. It feels like he was kicked out by someone, but where are his beard and clothes? The crowd's discussion was accompanied by the screams of some women, causing Xiao Lin to feel so embarrassed that he wanted to find a hole to hide in. At the same time, his hatred for Old Man Wei had reached a peak, and his old face was filled with malevolence. Wei Lianqing, I won't let you off. He roared angrily, his eyes filled with hatred. Being humiliated in public like this, how could he not bear a grudge? This was especially so since Xiao Lin was a vengeful person. Wei Lianqing didn't even look at Xiao Lin. He smiled at Lin Ruobai and said, "Little ancestor, are you done playing? If it's not enough, I'll control him again and let you continue playing." Lin Ruobai pursed his lips. "Go back." Then you, Wei Lianqing was stunned. Before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted by the girl's soft voice. "Wherever Master is, I'll be there." Hearing this, Wei Lianqing frowned. If it was said that he was at ease leaving this little ancestor in the Xiao family at first, but after what they had done to Xiao Lin, who could guarantee that Xiao Lin wouldn't hate them? Chapter 395. How could he be at ease letting Lin Ruobai stay? Little ancestor, let's return to the Wei clan first. Xiao Lin is a treacherous and shameless old thing. You'll suffer if you stay here. I don't care. Lin Ruobai puffed up her cheeks. I'm here to find Master. Plus, with Master around, no one can hurt me. Wei Lianqing shook his head helplessly. Forget it, I really can't do anything to you. Only that Master of yours can control you. Remember, if anyone from the Xiao clan bullies you, look for me at the Wei clan immediately. I'll bring people to avenge you. If Wei Lianqing knew what kind of person Yun Luofeng was, perhaps he wouldn't have said such a thing. She was a hedonistic young master to begin with. How could she stop Lin Ruobai? She would only indulge this little girl. Lin Ruobai blinked and smiled evilly. No one in this world who can bully me has been born yet. I'd like to see if the Xiao clan has the guts to bully me. Wei Lianqing laughed bitterly. Indeed, this girl was unruly. Coupled with her noble status, there were very few people who could bully her. He hoped that the Xiao clan had some self-awareness. If this girl was hurt in the slightest, that Lord wouldn't let them off. Little ancestor, then I'll return to the Wei clan first. Have fun and look for me if you need help. At this point, Wei Lianqing still reminded her worriedly, don't get into conflict with the Xiao clan when I'm not around. I'm afraid you'll be hurt. Lin Ruobai's lips twitched. Her face was full of disapproval. She had come here to vent her master's anger. Furthermore, she had already provoked the Xiao clan. It didn't matter if there were any more conflicts in the future. Wei Lianqing sighed helplessly when he saw that the girl didn't take his words to heart. He took one last look at Lin Ruobai and turned to leave the Xiao clan. He had to send a messenger pigeon to inform the Lord on Spirit God Mountain of this matter and let him make a decision. Xiao Lin crawled up from the ground pathetically as he gazed in the direction that Wei Lianqing had left. He looked at the guards who were lying on the ground in the courtyard and roared in annoyance, "Get Xiaochen to see me in the study immediately." "Yes, master." The guard stood up, cupped his fists and left. Xiao Lin also took this opportunity to change his clothes. However, because of the stairs that made him feel like there were needles on his back, his footsteps were incomparably hurried. He wanted to quickly leave this shameful place. In the study, Xiaochen stood at the seat of honor. There was a dark glint on his handsome face. "Father, I heard about what happened just now. I did not expect old Fart Wei to be so daring. He actually dared to hurt someone in public." "Oomph." Old man Xiao snorted coldly. "That old bastard Wei Lianqing didn't put our Xiao and Ling families in his eyes just because he went to the spiritual god mountain. His strength is only slightly stronger than mine. What's so great about that? If he hadn't been chosen by that person on Spirit God Mountain, his rank wouldn't have surpassed mine." Spirit God Mountain was equivalent to the ruler of Spirit Realm. They controlled the life and death of Spirit Realm. However, the people on Spirit God Mountain were extremely mysterious. Very few people in Spirit Realm had seen them. No one was able to enter Spirit God Mountain. As a result, the people on Spirit God Mountain were worshipped like gods by others. Chapter 396. If Spirit Realm was said to be a small world, Spirit God Mountain was the god of this world. He had an extremely high status in the hearts of the people. Even though those people from Spiritual God Mountain didn't appear in the eyes of the world, they still gave out a golden jade tablet. It was rumored that those who held the golden jade token were equivalent to envoys of Spirit God Mountain and held an important position in Spirit Realm. It was obvious that Old Man Wei had a golden jade token in his hand. This golden jade token was also a proof of entry to Spirit God Mountain. I really don't know what that person from Spirit God Mountain is thinking, actually liking that old bastard Wei Lianqing. Back then, I was stronger than him, but ever since he entered Spirit God Mountain, he surpassed me and became the head of the 3 great families. Xiao Lin said indignantly. From his point of view, he was much more outstanding than Wei Lianqing, yet he wasn't chosen by anyone from Spirit God Mountain. Someone like Wei Lianqing actually obtained such a lucky chance. It was just too unfair. "Father, what should we do next?" Xiao Chen frowned and said worriedly, "Not only has Wei Lianqing become a high-stage heavenly spirit being, she has also gained the favor of the Spiritual God Mountain. I'm afraid it won't be that easy for us to deal with her. That's why I've asked you to come here to discuss this matter." Xiao Lin's eyes darkened and the corners of his mouth curled into a sarcastic smile. "Since that good-for-nothing is unwilling to return the engagement token, we don't need to bother with him anymore. Directly let Yu Qing and Ling Yao be engaged. Our Xiao family can only stand on the same side as the Ling family to deal with Wei Lianqing together." Xiao Chen was stunned. He said hesitantly, "Even if our Xiao clan and the Ling clan work together, we might not be able to defeat the Wei clan. We'll have to rely on Yu Qing for this." Xiao Chen smiled coldly. "We'll open up the secret zone for Yu Qing in advance. If he enters the secret zone to cultivate, his power will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. By then, with Xiao Yu Qing, would the Xiao family still be afraid of the Wei family? Only direct descendants of the Xiao clan could enter the secret domain. Of course, because the secret domain only opened once every 100 years, Xiao Lin and Xiao Chen had never entered the secret domain before. As for why Xiao Lin didn't personally enter the secret realm, this was because only those below the heavenly spirit realm could enter the secret realm. Once he broke through to the celestial spirit stage, he would not be able to step into the arcana realm. It was even more impossible for Xiao Qin. His talent was not bad, but it was still incomparable to Xiao Yuqing's. Xiao Yuqing was about to surpass him at such a young age. No one in the entire spirit realm could match this kind of talent. Therefore, Xiao Lin would definitely give such a precious opportunity to Xiao Yuqing instead of choosing to let his son enter the secret realm. "Father, there's something we've overlooked." Xiao Chen glanced at Xiao Lin and continued, "Wei Lianqing is someone that the Spirit God Mountain has taken a liking to. If we were to deal with him, would the Spirit God Mountain have any objections?" "You worry too much about this." A light flashed through Xiao Lin's darkened eyes. A force like Spirit God Mountain does not lack subordinates. When Yu Qing grows up, our Xiao family can completely replace the Wei family and work for Spirit God Mountain. At that time, Spirit God Mountain will definitely not pursue our crime of killing Wei Lianqing. Xiao Chen's tightly furrowed brows slowly relaxed. He asked respectfully, "Father, when will we open the secret realm?" "In a few days." Every time Xiao Lin thought of the humiliation he had suffered today, a wave of anger surged from his chest. He said coldly, "Opening the secret realm requires time. After a few days, we'll send Yu Qing into the secret realm." Chapter 397. The day Xiao Yuqing leaves the secret zone would be the day of the Wei family's destruction. Now, he would let these people run wild for a few more days. "Father, when Yuqing successfully enters the secret zone and becomes the master of the family, what should we do with that good-for-nothing and the woman by his side?" Xiao Chen's eyes flashed with viciousness as he asked. "Execute them all." His voice was as gloomy as ever, as if Yun Xiao was not his grandson but an irreconcilable enemy. "Even though that good-for-nothing is no longer a member of the Xiao family, I will never allow him to change his surname. His actions have crossed my bottom line. If we let this good-for-nothing live, we will be the ones to lose face." However, he could not afford to lose face like that. A good-for-nothing like him has no right to live. He would only spare his life if he was more talented than Xiao Yuqing. "All right." Xiao Chen's eyes lit up and the smile on his lips was filled with murderous intent. It was obvious that he had wanted to get rid of that good-for-nothing for a very long time. He would not allow his bloodline to be such a good-for-nothing. Back then, if not for his father's leniency, he might have executed him a long time ago. It was a good thing that his father had finally thought things through and realized that this kind of good-for-nothing has no right to live. Xiao Lin closed his eyes and his elderly face was emotionless. "I did not want to kill him at first. No matter how good-for-nothing he is still a member of the Xiao family. However, what did he do? Not only did he change his surname for a woman, he even threatened me because of her. I've said it before, once Yuqing successfully activates the secret zone, I will not let him off." He had brought all of this upon himself. Who asked him to be a good-for-nothing that everyone despised? "Qing, you may leave. Comfort your wife. After all, she is Yuqing's mother." Xiao Chen opened his eyes and said calmly, "Since Yuqing is the future master of the Xiao family, his mother's position must be very high. Your actions today must have hurt her." Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes slightly, and a fierce look flashed in his eyes. "If it wasn't for that piece of trash, I wouldn't have hurt Yu's heart. This is all his fault. I will never forgive him." Hearing this, Xiao Lin waved his hand. There was a look of exhaustion on his face. "All right, if you have anything to say, go back and tell Yuqing's mother. I'm going to prepare for the opening of the secret realm in a few days. During this period of time, just let them do whatever they want." The Xiao family already had a lawless Yun Luofeng who was connived by Yun Xiao, and now there was a Lin Ruabai who had the support of Wei Lianqing. Xiao Lin could already imagine the future of the Xiao clan. However, he had no time to bother with these people. He would only be able to deal with these people after Yuqing had successfully entered the mystery realm. Moreover, he would be able to help the Xiao clan reach a higher level. Before that, he could only endure. "Master." In the courtyard, Lin Ruabai saw the beautiful young girl standing under the maple tree with one glance. She pouted and tears of grievance almost fell from her eyes. Then, she quickly ran towards the young girl and opened her arms, wanting to throw herself into her arms. However, just as Lin Ruabai arrived in front of Yun Luofeng, a strong arm suddenly reached out from the side and pulled the beautiful girl into an embrace. Thump! Lin Ruabai fell headfirst into the tree. She rubbed her aching forehead and turned her pitiful gaze towards Yun Luofeng. Her gaze was extremely aggrieved, like a puppy that had been abandoned by its owner. It was full of grief. Chapter 398. However, Lin Ruabai did not dare to step forward again, because the eyes of the man hugging Yun Luofeng were too frightening. He was as cold as a god of death, causing her heart to tremble uncontrollably. "Yun Xiao, don't scare her." Yun Luofeng glanced at Lin Ruabai's trembling figure and raised his eyebrows. His lips curled into a moving smile. After saying this, Yun Xiao finally retracted her gaze. At the same time, Lin Ruabai felt her heart finally relax and the cold aura that had surrounded her also disappeared. "Master," Lin Ruabai tugged on Yun Luofeng's arm and said aggrievedly, "in these few hours, Didn't you notice that you left something behind? Yun Luofeng said honestly, I forgot at first, but then I remembered. I thought that you should be able to find the way to the Xiao family, so I didn't look for you. Master? Lin Ruobai's gaze became more and more resentful. She stared at Yun Luofeng like a vengeful spirit. How could you forget such a big person like me? Looks like Grandmaster's charisma is not shallow. This was the first time she had seen a master who valued love over friendship and didn't even notice that his disciple had been lost. Yun Luofeng paused. Your Grandmaster's charisma is indeed great. With him around, I really did forget about you. It would have been better if she hadn't said anything. Now that she said this, Lin Ruobai almost cried. It was fine if the delicacies were destroyed, but even her master had abandoned her. Oh right. Yun Luofeng frowned slightly and turned to look at Lin Ruobai. When you entered the Xiao family, no one stopped you? Lin Ruobai pouted. I burned the old man's beard and clothes and even threw him on the street. Master, did I cause trouble for you? What she meant was that if she caused trouble for Yun Luofeng because of her actions against Xiao Lin, then she would immediately ask her father to send troops to help. At that time, the Xiao family would not be able to cause any trouble. Well done, Yun Luofeng patted Lin Ruobai's little head. Seeing that I am very satisfied with your actions today, I will not abandon you in the future. Really? Lin Ruobai's tone was suspicious. Could she really trust a master who valued love over disciple? Don't worry, I will definitely do what I say. It's just that when you used fire to burn Xiao Lin, did he hurt you? Lin Ruobai was quite talented, but she could not compare to Xiao Lin, who was an intermediate heavenly spirit warrior. As such, Yun Luofeng was confused as to how she was able to enter the Xiao clan safely after hurting Xiao Lin. In response to Yun Luofeng's question, Lin Ruobai only revealed a mysterious smile. I have helpers. It had to be said that the old man from the Wei clan was a pretty good helper. In the future, if he wanted to bully Xiao Lin again, he would need the help of this helper. Hearing this, Yun Luofeng did not ask any more questions. She leaned her back against the man next to her and lazily raised the corners of her lips. Xiao Bai, I don't care what your identity is. Since you're my disciple now, you must listen to me. Do you understand? Master, your disciple will definitely obey your every command. Lin Ruobai hurriedly straightened her body and said respectfully, as long as you don't abandon me again, I won't set fire to anyone you want me to kill. All right, remember what you said today. Yun Luofeng slowly moved his back away from Yun Xiao and swept his evil eyes towards Lin Ruobai. It's getting late. Hurry up and find a room to rest. Don't disturb my date with your grandmaster. Lin Ruobai pursed her lips. Master was indeed someone who valued love over disciple. After having grandmaster, she, as a disciple, had become a burden. Chapter 399. Yes, master. No matter what she was thinking, Lin Ruobai did not dare to express it. This was because she could already feel the increasingly cold aura from Yun Zhao's body. That aura seemed to be urging her to leave. If she lingered for even a moment longer, she believes that this man would throw her out. Hence, Lin Ruobai chose to quickly leave this place. Under the maple tree, the grim man stared coldly at Lin Ruobai's disappearing figure and said in a low voice, She's very dangerous. Dangerous? Yun Luofeng stared blankly. She had never associated the word danger with Lin Ruobai. Hence, when she heard Yun Zhao's words, her expression turned slightly serious. Yun Xiao, do you know something? I can feel that there is a very strong power in her bloodline. That power is not the one you sealed, but something extremely dangerous. Before this, Yun Luofeng had already told Yun Xiao about Lin Ruobai's background. Hence, Yun Xiao knew that she had helped this young girl to seal away a power. It was just that back then at the restaurant, Yun Xiao only saw Yun Luofeng's existence and everyone else beside him was ignored by him. Hence, he now realized that Lin Ruobai was different from the others. Yun Xiao, what do you mean by danger? Yun Luofeng turned towards Yun Xiao and asked. Yun Xiao was silent for a moment before she replied, The power hidden in her blood is very powerful. If she controls it well, she will become your right-hand man in the future. If she is unable to control that power, she will become a bloodthirsty demon. Hearing this, Yun Luofeng smiled. Her smile was absolutely beautiful, and it was as beautiful as a flash of youth. I have faith in Xiaobai. Yun Zhao's gaze fell upon Yun Luofeng. However, I will not allow any danger to appear by your side. Even though Yun Luofeng believes in Xiaobai, he does not want her to suffer any harm. Yun Xiaobai is only 13 years old now. She is still young, so I have a lot of time to nurture her. Yun Luofeng raised his head and stared at the grim man next to him. I know you don't believe in Xiaobai, but you must believe in my power. She knew that Yun Xiao had said this out of consideration for her safety, but she had a lot of confidence in Xiaobai. Yun Xiao sank into deep thought. After a while, his black eyes turned towards Yun Luofeng again, his expression exceptionally serious. Alright. For you, I'll believe her this once. He believed her only because of Yun Luofeng. But if Lin Ruabai really harmed Yun Luofeng, then he would definitely not let her off. Yun Luofeng gently smiled, her gaze gradually turning towards the distant sky. Her long eyelashes drooped slightly, and while Yun Xiao was not paying attention, she used a soul transmission to ask, Little Mo, did you already know about Xiaobai's situation? Little Mo's voice was a little weak. I've said it before. Her identity is a little special. If you accept her, she will be of help to you in the future. Yun Luofeng raised his eyebrows and said with a faint smile, but you didn't tell me that she might not be able to control her power in the future and become a demon. This. Little Mo's voice was cautious. Doesn't it depend on luck? If she can control her power, she will be of great use to you in the future. Then let me ask you, how confident is she that she can control her power? Chapter 400. Little Mo fell silent. After a long time, he replied in a timid tone, 10%. This means that there was a 90% chance that Lin Ruabai would not be able to control her powers. No wonder Yun Xiao did not want Lin Ruabai to stay by her side. Because there were too few chances for her to control her powers. Little Mo, you actually hid this from me. Yun Luofeng's voice gradually revealed a trace of anger. This is your loyalty to me? Master, don't be angry. Little Mo noticed the anger in Yun Luofeng's voice and felt a little afraid. However, he still replied firmly, she only had a 10% chance of success, but with me around, there will be no problem at all. Yun Luofeng narrowed his eyes. Are you sure? Little Mo replied in an uncertain tone. I should be sure. Master, you are not strong enough right now. Once you are strong enough, I should be able to help her. Hearing this, Yun Luofeng suppressed the anger in his heart and his lips curled into a cold smile. I'll trust you one more time. Also, you must tell me everything in the future and do not hide anything. Otherwise, I will immediately break the contract with the Divine Medicine Codex, and you can look for another master. Little Mo's heart trembled violently and he was so anxious that he was about to cry. Master, I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. I'm really confident that I can help her. At that time, I was worried that you would abandon her if I told you. Sob, it wasn't easy for me to meet you, Master. Please don't abandon me. The little boy's soft sobs softened Yun Luofeng's heart. She knew that Little Mo was speaking the truth. If she had known this earlier, even if she had saved Lin Ruabai, she might not have accepted him as her disciple. After all, she was no longer alone. She could not simply take risks and she could not bring danger to her family. If she had been alone, she would have risked her life regardless of the danger. But now, since she had accepted Lin Ruabai as her disciple, she would take responsibility for her no matter what kind of person she was. Little Mo, you must remember, there will not be a next time. If she had brought danger to her family because of her, she would never forgive herself for the rest of her life. Master, don't worry. This won't happen again. No matter what happens in the future, I will tell you in advance. Little Mo's voice was firm. This time, he did realize that he had made a mistake. No matter what decision his master would make, he should tell him the truth without any selfishness. By the way, Master, Little White, she's my disciple now, so no matter how confident she is in controlling that power, I won't give up on her. Yun Luofeng looked up slightly, his black eyes shining like the stars in the night sky. Little Mo, when the time comes, what should I do to help her? Little Mo pondered for a moment before replying, I'm not too sure right now. I only know that Master needs to improve your strength. The stronger you are, the more confident she will be in controlling that power. Alright, I understand. Yun Luofeng lowered her eyelids. It looked like she really needed to increase her strength. Of course, the pressing matter at hand now was to first find the jade token that sealed a piece of Yun Zhao's soul. Only by taking back that jade token could she leave spirit realm with peace of mind and increase her strength. Chapter 401. At this moment, in a luxurious room, Xiaochen stared at the beautiful woman lying on the bed with heartache in his eyes. He slowly stepped forward and gently brushed his fingers through her silky hair. There was a hint of hostility in his lowered eyes. Don't worry, I will avenge you. Lin Yu laughed icily and turned around to face the wall. Clearly, she had not forgiven Xiaochen for what he had just done. Xiaochen's hatred towards Yun Xiao and Yun Luofeng deepened when he saw Lin Yu's attitude. He took a deep breath and said, Father has said to let Yuqing enter the secret zone earlier. When that time comes, you can do whatever you want to those two. Lin Yu's body trembled. A sense of hatred flashed in her eyes and her beautiful face twisted into a sinister expression. You're saying that Yuqing can enter the secret zone earlier? Lin Yu turned around and looked at Xiaochen. Xiaochen nodded gently. This is Father's decision. Furthermore, he no longer cares about the engagement token. Even if that good-for-nothing is unwilling to hand it over, the engagement between them must be annulled. Then let Yuqing marry the Ling family's girl as soon as possible. Lin Yu smiled icily. Otherwise, some women will harbor ill intentions towards him. She still believes that Yun Luofeng would never like a good-for-nothing like Yun Xiao and that his heart would only belong to Xiao Yuqing. However, she had never considered that if Yun Luofeng truly loved Xiao Yuqing, why would he have attacked her? Are you willing to forgive me for my previous actions? Xiaochen's eyes were filled with tenderness as he stared pitifully at Lin Yu, who was lying on the bed covered in wounds. He could imagine how vicious Yun Luofeng must have been to beat her up to this extent. Lin Yu's eyes darkened. Xiaochen, I've been married to you for so many years and I've even given birth to such an outstanding son for you. Yet, you chose to abandon me at a critical moment. Do you know how bitterly disappointed I am? I made that choice back then for our son. We still have a use for that good-for-nothing now. When he's no longer useful, we'll cripple him. When he said the last few words, Xiaochen gritted his teeth fiercely, as if Yun Xiao was his irreconcilable enemy and not his own son. When she heard this, Lin Yu's eyes flickered slightly. She pointed out something and said, Xiaochen, it is said that after all the disciples of the Xiao clan are born, they will use a piece of their soul to make a jade tablet to bind the disciples of the Xiao clan. You mean, I want that trash's jade token? Lin Yu's lips curled up into a cruel smile. If you want me to forgive you for what you've done, then hand over the jade token of that good-for-nothing. Otherwise, I won't forgive you. Xiaochen frowned and fell silent. The jade plates of all the disciples of the Xiao clan were in his father's hands. Now that his father was busy with Yuqing's matter, he probably had no time to care about these secular matters. Moreover, even if he had the time, he might not hand the jade plates to Lin Yu. However, when he saw the anger in Lin Yu's eyes, Xiaochen made up his mind and said through gritted teeth, Fine. I know where the jade plate is. I'll steal it for you later. However, I'll need to make a fake jade plate to replace the one I've taken. If he did not do this and his father found out about it, his father would certainly fly into a rage. Chapter 402. Husband. Lin Yu's expression softened when she heard Xiaochen's words. She buried her swollen face in the man's arms and said gently, Then I'll wait for your good news here. Xiaochen felt a little nauseous when he saw Lin Yu's swollen face. However, when he recalled what Xiao Lin had said to him previously, he hid all the disgust in his heart and revealed a doting look in his eyes. I'll bring his jade token to you very soon. You just need to wait quietly. After saying this, Xiaochen hugged Lin Yu's body tightly and the corners of his lips curled into a helpless smile. While they were talking, they did not notice that in a dark corner, a little white hamster had quickly squeezed out of the door and disappeared under the bright sunlight. East Courtyard. In the cozy bedroom, Yun Luofeng slowly opened her eyes and looked at Milk Tea, who had rushed in from outside the door. She asked, "How was it? Did you manage to find out anything?" Squeak squeak. Milk Tea leaped onto Yun Luofeng's thighs and waved her hands and feet as she squeaked. "Little Mo, can you understand what it's saying?" Yun Luofeng frowned and asked. After a while, Little Mo's soft voice came from her soul bosom. "Master, it said that it heard a piece of news from Xiao Chen and Lin Yu's room just now. Apparently, Yun Zhao's jade tablet is in Xiao Lin's possession, but Lin Yu gave it to Xiao Chen to steal it and give it to him." Yun Luofeng was startled and a smile appeared on her beautiful face. "I originally guessed that Lin Yu would not easily swallow this humiliation. That's why I asked Milk Tea to investigate the situation. I didn't expect to receive such a huge surprise. If the jade token was in Xiao Lin's hands, it would be very difficult for her to find out its whereabouts. After all, who knew where he had hidden it? What Yun Luofeng did not expect was that Lin Yu had designs on Yun Zhao's jade token. In this case, she only needed to keep an eye on Lin Yu. Milk Tea, continue to keep an eye on the situation. Inform me if there's any news." Squeak squeak. Milk Tea happily called out twice. Her small body quickly rushed out of the door and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Yun Luofeng stared at Milk Tea's disappearing figure, and the smile on the corners of his lips revealed a trace of evil. "Now, I only need to wait here quietly for news. Once we obtain the jade token, it will be time to strike at the Yun family." Night fell. The moonlight was like water, pouring into the room. Xiao Chen's figure sneaked in from outside the door. After making sure that no one was following him, he heaved a sigh of relief and walked towards Lin Yu, who was resting on the bed with her eyes closed. "I've already brought the jade token for you." He carefully took out a jade token from his lapel, put it in front of Lin Yu and said, "You must keep this jade token well. At least before Yuqing ascends to the position of the family head, you can't let anyone know about this. If my father finds out about this, both of us will be punished. Once Xiao Yuqing becomes the patriarch, they will have the final say in the entire Xiao family. In this case, why would they need to be afraid of that old fart?" Lin Yu happily took the jade token and a sinister smile hung on her face. That good-for-nothing probably never thought that there would be a day where his life would be in my hands. In the future, if I want him to live, he must live. If I want him to die, he can only die. Chapter 403. At that moment, Lin Yu was no longer as beautiful as she used to be. Coupled with her ferocious expression, Xiao Chen could not help but feel disgusted. However, she was Xiao Yuqing's mother. For Yuqing's sake, he had to pretend to love her very much. "I've brought you what you wanted. However, I have other matters to attend to now. You should have a good rest." Xiao Chen's gaze was filled with gentleness. His voice was as gentle as ever. Lin Yu played with the jade token in her hand and did not even look at Xiao Chen. She said happily, "All right, you can go now." Xiao Chen shook his head. He took one last look at Lin Yu before he turned around and walked out of the room. His tall and fierce figure soon disappeared into the night. "Jade token, I finally got you." Lin Yu took a deep breath. There was a sinister look in her beautiful eyes. "From now on, I'd like to see how a good-for-nothing like you can pretend to be so cold in front of me. Furthermore, you even dared to snatch my son's woman. Why don't you take a good look at yourself? How can you be worthy of the Ling family's daughter?" Swoosh. Just as Lin Yu was playing with the jade token, a white shadow suddenly appeared from the side. Then, the jade token in her hand disappeared into thin air. Lin Yu stared at her empty palm and was stunned. She hurriedly swept her gaze towards the door. She then saw a fat white hamster dragging a jade token that was even bigger than it as it struggled to run out of the door. Lin Yu immediately returned to her senses and shouted angrily, "Little bastard, how dare you steal from the Xiao family? You're courting death." Lin Yu stood up angrily and slapped the little hamster on the ground. The entire ground trembled from her slap and dust rose into the air. She had initially thought that she would be able to smash Milk Tea into a meat patty. However, when she retracted her palm, she realized that there was only a hole the size of a jade token left on the ground. As for the little hamster that had stolen the jade token, it had already escaped from the hole. Ah! Lin Yu had gone completely mad. Her messy hair hung loosely over her shoulders as she roared angrily like a mad woman. That damned gold-seeking rat. If she ever finds it, she will definitely tear it into pieces. What happened? Xiao Chen, who had gone far away, turned back when he heard Lin Yu's angry roar. He hurriedly pushed the door open and entered. He frowned in dissatisfaction when he saw Lin Yu with disheveled hair. Lin Yu's heart gradually calmed down, and she said in a normal tone, "Just now, a gold-seeking rat took away my jade ring. I was about to slap it to death, but it dug a hole and escaped." No matter what, she could not let Xiao Chen know that the jade token had been stolen, so she chose to lie. Gold-seeking rat? Xiao Chen frowned. Why does the Xiao clan have such an inferior spirit beast like the gold-seeking rat? Do you remember the color of the gold-seeking mice? I'll send someone to search for it later. All right. Lin Yu nodded slightly and said, "That gold-seeking rat has a white body and is quite fat. It can dig holes very quickly. Husband, you must catch this damned beast." Lin Yu gritted her teeth in hatred as she spoke. One could imagine how much damage Milk Tea's actions had caused to her. She had been eyeing the jade token for a long time in order to kill that good-for-nothing. She had never expected that it would be stolen right after she had gotten it. How could she not feel hatred? As long as she caught that little beast, she would not be able to quell the anger in her heart until she whipped its corpse for 100 days. Chapter 404. This is the Soul Jade Tablet? In an elegant room, the curtains fluttered as Yun Luofeng received a dark brown jade tablet from Milk Tea. The corners of his lips curled into a smile as he turned to look at the grim man next to him. "Yun Xiao, take a look and see if this jade tablet is real or fake." Yun Xiao received the jade tablet from Yun Luofeng's hand and examined it carefully before placing it back into the young girl's hand. "It's real." Yun Luofeng raised his brows. In that case, Xiao Chen did not casually use a jade tablet to fool Lin Yu. However, their actions have benefited us. Yun Xiao, since you've obtained the jade tablet, take good care of it. Yun Xiao glanced at the jade tablet that Yun Luofeng had placed in front of him but did not accept it. He gently raised his dark eyes and stared deeply at the young girl's beautiful and demonic features. "This jade tablet is for you." Yun Luofeng was stunned and confusion flashed across his eyes. "The soul jade tablet represents your life. I'm afraid it's a little inappropriate for you to give it to me like this." Hearing this, Yun Zhao's gaze became even more serious. "The jade tablet and my life are in your hands. The jade tablet and my life are in your hands." The man's voice was filled with sincerity and caused Yun Luofeng's fingers to tremble. She looked at the man's grim and handsome features and finally accepted the jade tablet. "All right, I'll take care of this jade tablet for you. As long as I'm alive, I won't allow it to suffer any damage." When he saw Yun Luofeng accept the jade tablet, the corners of Yun Zhao's lips curled up at an extremely slow speed and curled into an undetectable smile. "If I'm not by your side in the future, this represents me and will accompany you." Yun Xiao slowly stepped forward and wrapped his powerful arms tightly around the beautiful young girl in front of him. At this moment, he could even smell the faint fragrance from the young girl's body. This fragrance made him feel very satisfied. In this life, as long as he could have her, he would have no other regrets. "Yun Xiao, when do you plan to make a move against the Xiao family?" Yun Luofeng seemed to remember something and asked. Yun Xiao stared blankly, his brows tightly knitted together. "On the day that Xiao Yuqing opened the secret realm. Because I'm interested in this secret realm." "All right." Yun Luofeng's lips curled up. "When that day comes, I will make the people of the Xiao clan regret what they did to you that day. They would live in extreme regret for the rest of their lives, unable to climb out of it." This was her severe punishment for the Xiao family. The opening of the Xiao clan's mystic realm was the most significant event in the past 100 years. Therefore, on this day, the three great clans of Four Corners City gathered at the Xiao clan. However, Xiao Lin and the head of the Ling family, Ling Feng, ignored Wei Lianqing as if they didn't notice his existence. Wei Lianqing didn't mind. His smiling eyes were fixed on the adorable little girl standing next to Yun Luofeng. He only heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that she was safe and sound. It had been a few days. It had been a few days since he sent a message to Spirit God Mountain. That person must have already known that his daughter was being bullied here and would probably come to Four Corner City soon. For a guy who loved his daughter as much as his own life, he would be distressed for half a day if his daughter lost even a strand of hair, let alone being humiliated like this. Cough cough. Looking at the crowd, Xiao Lin coughed dryly and cleared his throat. He said, I'm sure that everyone knows what the Xiao clan is going to hold today. But before that, I have something to announce to everyone. Chapter 405. Everyone looked at each other with confusion in their eyes. Just as they were guessing what Xiao Lin was going to announce, the old man's hoarse and stern voice was heard again. As everyone knows, a few years ago, the Xiao clan and the Ling clan had a marriage agreement, but we didn't expect little Xiao to be a natural good-for-nothing. I don't want to drag Ling Yao down, so I plan to break off the marriage agreement for both of them and marry Ling Yao to Yuqing. Lin Ruobai stood quietly next to Yun Luofeng. After hearing Xiao Lin's words, her bright and adorable eyes showed a hint of disdain. This old man dared to call Grandmaster a good-for-nothing. If Grandmaster was a good-for-nothing, what kind of genius would there be in this world? Although Lin Ruobai still did not know Yun Zhao's power, she had absolute faith in Yun Luofeng. How bad could a man that Yun Luofeng had taken a liking to be? In the end, this group of people came to this conclusion without knowing anything. Lin Yu's eyes were filled with ridicule. She looked at the joyful Ling Yao next to her and her expression gradually softened. Yao, do you still remember what I said to you last night? Ling Yao nodded vigorously. Auntie, can you really find a doctor to cure me? Of course. It's fake. She does not even know what poison Ling Yao is suffering from. How could she possibly cure her? Moreover, the Ling family had found so many doctors to no avail. Where could she go to find a miracle doctor? Even though that was what she was thinking, Lin Yu still smiled and replied, Of course it's true. Have you heard of Miracle Dr. Tianya? He's a famous miracle doctor on the mainland. He plans to cure you so you don't have to be afraid of Yun Luofeng anymore. With the Xiao family backing you up, what's there to be afraid of? This girl Ling Yao is stupid and easily fooled. She believes everything I say. How could I possibly invite a person like Miracle Dr. Tianya? However, no matter what, it's enough as long as Ling Yao believes me. Auntie, I understand. Ling Yao's heart was filled with excitement. That bitch Yun Luofeng did such a thing to me. I won't let her get away with it. Lin Yu curled up the corners of her lips and a sinister smile appeared on her face. Whatever you want to say, whatever you want to do, go ahead. As long as you can discuss them today, I will immediately ask Dr. Tianya to treat you. As the madam of the Xiao family, she needed to maintain her dignity and couldn't insult others. That was why she schemed to make Ling Yao listen to her. This way, not only would she not lose face, she would also be able to say what she wanted to say. Sure enough, upon hearing Lin Yu's words, the fear in Ling Yao's heart disappeared. She raised her head and puffed out her chest as she walked towards Yun Xiao. Yun Xiao, so what if you don't hand over our engagement token? I will still break off the engagement with you. Let me tell you, only brother Yuqing is worthy of me. Who do you think you are? Even if I, Ling Yao, were blind, I would never fall for a man like you. She had originally thought that after she and Xiao Yuqing got engaged, this good-for-nothing would no longer be able to maintain that cold expression and would no longer be able to indulge in his desires. Who would have thought that even at a time like this, Yun Xiao would still not look at her? His eyes were fixed on the peerless beauty next to him. Ling Yao was thoroughly enraged. She pointed at Yun Luofeng and gritted her teeth as she said, Don't think that I don't know that you had purposely invited this woman here with the intention of putting on a good show of indulging in your desires. Unfortunately, you've underestimated me. No matter what, I will never like you. Chapter 406. In Ling Yao's opinion, no matter how strong Yun Luofeng was, she was only the daughter of a small noble family in Long Yuan country. How could she compare to the little princess of the Ling family? It was impossible for Yun Xiao to not pursue someone with such good qualifications and choose a lowly woman instead. That's right. In Ling Yao's mind, even if Yun Luofeng was the eldest daughter of the general's residence, she could not escape the word lowly. Yun Zhao's expression finally changed a little. His cold gaze slowly turned to Ling Yao and he said in a low voice, "Scram." Ling Yao was stunned. This trash actually told her to scram? Where did he get the courage to say such a thing? What did you just say? Ling Yao's face was ashen. Say it again if you dare. Lin Ruabai couldn't help but burst into laughter. She blinked her big bright eyes at Ling Yao and giggled. Auntie, is there something wrong with your brain? My grandmaster told you to scram, didn't you hear him? My grandmaster isn't ugly enough to take a fancy to a woman as ugly as you. Xiao Bai's words made Ling Yao tremble in anger. This damned girl, she was only a few years younger than her, how dare she call her auntie? And she even insulted her for being ugly? With her looks, she had seduced countless young men in spirit realm. How dare she say she was ugly? Damn girl, do you have any manners? Ling Yao glared at the innocent-looking Lin Rubai. She wanted nothing more than to tear her adorable, apple-like face apart. Birds choose the best tree to nest in. I wonder if you've heard of this saying? Even if this woman's talent is not bad, she has a lowly status. Which man would give up on me and choose her? In the Wei family's group, Wei Lianqing frowned when he heard Ling Yao's words. This Ling family girl really had a problem with her brain. How dare she say that this little ancestor's master had a lowly status? If her status was lowly, then what was Spirit God Mountain? Wei Lianqing wanted to teach her a lesson. But before he could speak, he was interrupted by Lin Yu's gentle voice. Yao, you can't say that. Even if she has a lowly status, we can't disrespect her like this. Wei Lianqing's frown deepened. Even though Lin Yu kept saying that she wanted to respect Yun Luofeng, she was still biting on the word lowly. Everyone could hear the meaning behind her words. Auntie, Ling Yao pouted unhappily, have you forgotten how this bitch treated you? You're still speaking up for her. A few days ago, she took advantage of the fact that our Xiao family still needed this trash and did not hesitate to use this as a threat to beat you up. You're still speaking up for her now. People like her won't appreciate it. Ling Yao's voice drew everyone's attention to Lin Yu. Only then did he discover that there were indeed some scars on Lin Yu's face. The redness and swelling on her chin had not faded. She was not as beautiful as she used to be. Lin Yu frowned in displeasure when she noticed Ling Yao's words. She cursed her for being an idiot in her heart. However, no matter how angry she was, she did not show it on her face. She continued to smile at Ling Yao. We should repay evil with good. We shouldn't be so unforgiving. Yao, I know you hate this woman because she seduced Yu Qing. But my Yu Qing is so resolute. How could he be seduced? You can rest assured on this point. Chapter 407. The crowd sighed endlessly and looked at Yun Luofeng with disdain. Who would have thought that this woman, who looked so righteous, would seduce young Master Yu Qing after seducing the eldest young master of the Xiao family who had been chased out? A beautiful woman like her should be captured and thrown into a pig's cage. Yun Zhao's cold gaze gradually shifted away from Yun Luofeng and slowly turned towards Lin Yu. A murderous aura abruptly rose from his body. His paralyzed face was expressionless and he was as cold as a god of death. A man like this would be the center of attention no matter where he was. Unfortunately, he was just a good-for-nothing. What? Ling Yao noticed Yun Zhao's gaze and laughed icily. She then said mockingly, Is Auntie wrong? Do you want to fight with Auntie? The Xiao family is willing to let a good-for-nothing like you return to the family. You should be grateful. I don't believe that you have the courage to fight with the Xiao family. Why should she be afraid of a good-for-nothing? Anyone who insults her will die. Yun Zhao's thin lips parted and his cold expression was filled with a cold, murderous intent. Ling Yao burst into laughter. Her smile was filled with disdain and mockery. Haha, Yun Xiao, you say that you want me dead? That depends on whether a good-for-nothing like you has the ability to do so. In the Xiao family, Xiao Yuqing is the #1 genius. You can't compare to him at all. She held her head high proudly and did not see the man and woman in front of her as a threat. Wei Lianqing shook his head helplessly and simply shut his mouth. He did not say anything else. After all, the Xiao and Ling families were digging their own graves. It was enough for him to watch the show from the sidelines. Yun Luofeng, let me tell you, the poison you've given me is no longer effective. Auntie has found Dr. Tianya for me. By then, will you be able to threaten me? Looking at Ling Yao's smug expression, Yun Luofeng finally understood why she had the courage to rush out today. It was because she had fallen into Lin Yu's trap. At the thought of this, she turned to look at Lin Yu with her star-like black eyes. Her gaze seemed to have seen through everything that Lin Yu had done. Just as Ling Yao finished speaking, a muffled sound rang out from within her body. Then her body flew out and she spat out a mouthful of blood. Her delicate little face was as white as a sheet. Who hurt me in the dark? Ling Yao gritted her teeth as a trace of fear appeared on her pale face. Shortly after, the spiritual energy in her body went berserk, continuously crashing against her body. Those who humiliated her would die. Suddenly, Ling Yao thought of the man's cold voice, and her body suddenly trembled. Impossible. It couldn't be him. This guy was just a piece of trash? How could he control the spiritual power in her body? Someone must be helping them in the dark. Wei Lianqing. How dare you hurt me? Ling Yao turned to Wei Lianqing and roared angrily. It must be him. Apart from this old man, no one else had such strength. Wei Lianqing, you actually injured a junior. Do you still want your face? Xiao Lin had long been displeased with Wei Lianqing. Now that he finally had a handle on him, how could he not make use of it? Therefore, his expression was cold as he stared at Wei Lianqing. Seeing that his own granddaughter was injured, Ling Feng couldn't help but frown. He coldly said, Wei Lianqing, you attacked a junior. How can you be the leader of the three families? I knew you were shameless, but I didn't think you would be this shameless. Chapter 408. Wei Lianqing only snorted coldly in response to these people's cold mockery. Maybe the others did not notice, but he saw Yun Zhao's aura turn sharp in that moment. He didn't need to think to know that Yun Xiao had caused Ling Yao's spirit energy to go berserk. It seemed that this trash of the Xiao family was not simple. It was laughable that the Xiao family did not realize and mistook such a treasure for dust. Wei Lianqing, I called you here today to let you witness this precious moment of the Xiao family. I hadn't expected you to act against my daughter-in-law. Do you not have anything to say? Xiao Lin grew even angrier, his gaze like sharp swords shooting towards Wei Lianqing. Wei Lianqing sneered. I only want to say one thing, the Xiao family is completely blind. There is someone even more outstanding than Xiao Yuqing that you did not realize. Yun Xiao was able to act against Ling Yao in front of so many people without being discovered. It could be imagined just how strong he was. If not for his senses being more sensitive than others and feeling the change in the man's aura, he would not have thought that this trash who had been exiled from the Xiao family would hide so deeply. Wei family patriarch, what do you mean? Lin Yu frowned and said in displeasure. What do you mean more outstanding than my Yuqing? In this spirit realm, no one can compare to my Yuqing. Wei Lianqing glanced coldly at Lin Yu. Are you sure no one can compare to Xiao Yuqing? Disregarding the geniuses that your Xiao family missed out on, just the daughter of the Lord of Spirit God Mountain is a rare genius. Lin Yu laughed mockingly. You said she is a daughter and cannot inherit the family. So what if she is a genius? She is not like my Yuqing. Not only is she talented, she can continue the family. Who can compare? Spirit God Mountain was mysterious and powerful, but they had all heard that the Lord of Spirit God Mountain only had one daughter and no sons. Wasn't this the same as having no descendants? No matter how talented that girl was, she was someone else's daughter-in-law. Lin Yu did not notice that when she said this, Lin Ruobai was so angry his forehead was smoking and his body was trembling. So what if I have a daughter? My father only has one daughter. Why can't I inherit the family? Our daughters are not inferior to men. At this moment, the violent spirit energy in Ling Yao's body still hadn't stopped. She was rolling on the ground in pain, but no one paid attention to her, including her grandfather. Their minds were filled with the thought of using this matter to make Wei Lianqing lose his position. Yun Xiao stood at the side and watched coldly without any pity. To him, he only needed to take pity on Yun Luofeng. Even if the others were crushed to pieces, it had nothing to do with him. Little girl, you are too insensible. No matter how much your father dotes on you, you are still a girl. Sooner or later, you will have to give birth to someone else's child. How can you give away the huge family business to an outsider? That's why your father would rather give all his assets to me than to an outsider like you. In Lin Yu's mind, her daughter was an outsider. It was her fault for not being able to carry on the family line. Even their nephews would be closer to them because their nephews followed their surnames. Fortunately, Lin Yu gave birth to a son, so she didn't have to worry about that. Wei Lianqing shook his head once more. If it had been someone a bit smarter, they would definitely have connected Lin Ruobai's words to the spirit god mountain. Chapter 409. Unfortunately, Lin Yu was too conceited. She did not think that Yun Xiao would be able to form a relationship with the spirit god mountain, so she did not connect Lin Ruobai to the spirit god mountain. Lin Ruobai's expression became even more furious. She clenched her little fists tightly and kicked Ling Yao, who was rolling around in front of her, aside. She then placed her hands on her hips and walked towards Lin Yu. I dare you to say that again. Who are you calling an outsider? You don't love your daughter but your nephew? My father isn't that stupid. If you dare to say something like that again, I'll strangle you to death. Boom. Just as Lin Ruobai finished speaking, a sharp aura surged towards them like a gust of wind. It happened in the blink of an eye. Yun Luofeng had already appeared in front of Lin Ruobai in a flash. He held Lin Ruobai tightly in his arms as he faced Xiao Chen's sudden attack head-on. Bang! The two palms collided and Xiao Chen's body flew out of the way, crashing into the crowd. Those who were unaware of Yun Luofeng's power were shocked. They stared in astonishment at the young girl's peerlessly beautiful features. Her white robes fluttered in the gentle breeze. Yun Luofeng lowered his head to look at Lin Ruobai in his arms and frowned. Are you hurt? Lin Ruobai shook her head in a daze. Her large, bright eyes stared at the young girl in snow-white robes before her as she stupidly replied, Master, if I were a man, I would definitely marry you. Just as Lin Ruobai had spoken, a gust of cold air assaulted her from behind. It was so cold that her entire body shivered. How could I have forgotten that Grand Master is still behind me? I'm finished this time. She had actually said such things in front of her master. Lin Ruobai was so frightened that she curled up in Yun Luofeng's arms, trying to find a sense of security. However, before she could find any safety, an arm reached out from the side and pulled Yun Luofeng away. Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng turned to look at the man's cold features and suddenly chuckled, Are you jealous? This fellow was truly a vinegar jar. He was even jealous of a woman. The man glanced at her. Yun Luofeng did not know if it was an illusion, but his grim eyes seemed to contain a sense of grievance. She said she wanted to marry you. He would not allow anyone to marry her, be it man or woman. But she's not a man, she can't marry me. Yun Luofeng's eyes were full of smiles. Moreover, I already have you. Hearing this, Yun Zhao's brows relaxed. After thinking for a while, he still said a little worriedly, Don't forget, you have to be responsible for me. Responsibility? These two words caused the corners of Yun Luofeng's mouth to twitch violently. And from her expression, Yun Xiao could tell that she was unwilling to take responsibility. Instantly, her entire being tensed up. We've already slept together. You can't go back on your word. Yun Luofeng was speechless. They had indeed shared the same bed, but nothing had happened between them. However, Yun Zhao's words made it seem as if they had done everything. As for her, in the words of the old man, she had pulled up her pants and refused to acknowledge anyone. Among the crowd, Xiao Yuqing, who had not said a word since the beginning, involuntarily looked at the other two after hearing Yun Zhao's words. His brows furrowed slightly and his clear and cold gaze contained a strange light that no one could detect. At this moment, Xiao Chen crawled to his feet and coughed out a mouthful of blood. His handsome features were deathly pale. Father, this woman is too audacious, Chapter 410. Pa! Xiao Lin slapped Xiao Chen's face. His face was ashen as he roared angrily, Have you forgotten what I told you before? Xiao Chen's eyes were filled with hatred as he held his swollen face. He had indeed forgotten. He could not afford to offend this piece of trash before the arcane territory opened. Ling Yao and Lin Yu had ridiculed him previously, but he actually wanted to hurt them. If Yun Xiao stopped opening the mystic realm out of anger, Yuqing would not be able to increase her strength. Thinking of this, Xiaochen took a deep breath. He suppressed the anger in his heart and said in a low voice, "I understand." Xiao Lin snorted coldly, turned to look at Yun Xiao, and said indifferently, "It's about time. You and the other Xiao family disciples go to the side and let out your blood. Use your blood to open the secret realm." Yun Xiao stood there without moving. Her paralyzed face was as expressionless as ever. Xiao Lin's expression was somewhat unhappy. "Don't worry, just a few drops of your blood will be enough. It won't harm your body. As a disciple of my Xiao clan, it's fine if your strength is crippled, but I didn't expect you to be so cowardly. A few drops of blood is enough to scare you to this extent." Lin Ruabai couldn't help but roll his eyes. How did this old man know that Grandmaster was frightened? Her Grandmaster was clearly unwilling to help the Xiao family. Seeing that Yun Xiao was still standing there without moving, Xiao Lin's heart surged with rage. "I've satisfied you with everything you wanted these past few days. What else do you want? If it wasn't for you opening the secret territory, the Xiao family wouldn't have let you come back." Yun Xiao coldly looked at Xiao Lin. "I did not return to the Xiao clan to help Xiao Yuqing. Then why did you do it?" "For annihilation." Yun Luofeng had promised him that once he had dealt with the Xiao family, she would strip naked for him to see. Hence, he had chosen to return to the Xiao family in order to take off her clothes. "What did you say?" Xiao Lin's eyes flashed with anger. "If you have the guts, say it again." "Extermination?" Only this trash could say it. Yun Xiao obediently repeated, "Clan extermination." Boom. A wave of hostility emanated from Xiao Lin's body. He didn't think that this stinking brat would actually have the guts to repeat these two words. Good. Very good. It seemed like he had indulged him too much during this period of time, causing him to be so lawless. "A piece of trash like you dares to say that you want to destroy my Xiao family? Who gave you such courage? Is it the woman beside you?" Xiao Lin coldly smiled as he glanced at Yun Luofeng. "This woman's talent is indeed not bad. Unfortunately, she is only an earth spirit. An earth spirit is not enough for me to fear. At that time, if not for the fact that I wanted you to obediently help me open the secret realm, I would not have allowed her to do as she pleased in the Xiao family." The space between Yun Zhao's brows was cold and her black eyes were calm without the slightest ripple, as if she was not the one who had just said the word, "clan extermination." "Originally, I wanted to wait until the arcane realm opened before exterminating her clan, but you humiliated her." In other words, because these people had humiliated Yun Luofeng, he could not wait any longer. "Stinking brat, I'll kill you first." Xiao Lin was so angry that he lost his mind. His figure flashed and he charged towards Yun Xiao. His eyes were filled with rage and an insufferably arrogant murderous aura. However, just as Xiao Lin was about to reach Yun Xiao, a green figure quickly flew over from the void in the distance and met Xiao Lin's attack. Chapter 411. Then, a mocking voice rang out and fell into everyone's ears. "There's no need for my master to take action against someone like you, lest you taint my master's hands." Lin Xiong's palm collided with Xiao Lin's fist, forcing him to take a few steps back. A smile finally appeared on his handsome face. It had not been easy for him to be released from that place by his master. He had to perform well and not disappoint his master. "Who are you?" Xiao Lin's expression darkened and he took a few steps back. He looked at Lin Xiong with a serious expression. "I, your grandfather, am a man of my word." Lin Xiong raised his head arrogantly and looked at Xiao Lin disdainfully. "I am master's most capable subordinate, Lin Xiong." "Lin Xiong?" Yun Luofeng raised his eyebrows and turned to Yun Xiao. "Is she the Lin Xiong who gave you the erotic pictures?" Lin Xiong, who had been full of arrogance, froze when he heard Yun Luofeng's words. He had only given Master an erotic picture and Master had punished him in a fit of anger. He did not expect Mistress to remember this. Lin Xiong looked at Yun Luofeng guiltily. He was afraid that the young girl would get even with him for what had happened in the past. Yun Xiao nodded in response to Yun Luofeng's question. Yun Luofeng smiled when he heard this. His half-smiling eyes gradually fell on Lin Xiong. "The erotic picture you gave me was not bad." Yun Luofeng was telling the truth. It was because of that erotic picture that Yun Xiao had been enlightened so quickly. However, when Lin Qiong heard her words, she thought that Yun Luofeng was blaming her for what had happened in the past. Lin Qiong immediately felt like crying. Mistress, I didn't do it on purpose. Master has already punished me. If Mistress still hasn't forgiven me, I'll let Mistress scold me. Yun Luofeng curled the corners of his lips. That depends on your performance now. Depends on my performance now? Lin Qiong's eyes lit up and he glanced coldly at Xiao Lin. A cruel smile appeared on his handsome face. Does Mistress mean that if I perform well here, she will forgive me for what I did in the past? At this moment, the back mountain of the Xiao clan was completely silent. Everyone fixed their eyes on Lin Qiong and Yun Xiao, trying to guess the relationship between them. No one dared to think of the two of them in the other direction. After all, in the eyes of the world, Yun Xiao was just a good-for-nothing. How could he have such a powerful subordinate? Even if this subordinate called him master, they were still deceiving themselves and thinking that they had heard wrongly. Xiao Lin's old face turned livid as he stared at Lin Qiong. You said that this trash is your master? His words had voiced the doubts in everyone's hearts. That was because everyone saw that the man named Lin Qiong had stepped through the air toward them. Only a heavenly spirit realm expert had the strength to step through the void. Even though the Xiao family had over 10 heavenly spirit practitioners, Yun Xiao was merely a good-for-nothing. What right did he have to order the heavenly spirit practitioners to do things for him? What trash! How dare you say that my master is a good-for-nothing? Lin Qiong glared at him. If my master was a good-for-nothing, how could the world call him the Ghost Emperor? How dare you humiliate my master? Boom! It was as if a bolt of lightning had struck down from a clear sky, causing everyone present to feel dizzy. The Ghost Emperor? Was he the Ghost Emperor who had suddenly risen to prominence in recent years? Chapter 412. It was said that the Ghost Emperor was very mysterious. No one had seen his face or knew his age. They only knew that he was cruel and ruthless. Many people guessed that the Ghost Emperor must be extremely ugly. Otherwise, he would not have shown up in public with a mask. However, to everyone's surprise, the famous Ghost Emperor on the mainland turned out to be the good-for-nothing from the Xiao family. Xiao Lin's face turned from green to white and then from white to green. His old body trembled in the breeze. He subconsciously forced himself to deny Lin Yu's words. How could a good-for-nothing have anything to do with the Ghost Emperor? It was impossible. Before Xiao Lin could deny it, Lin Yu could not help but burst into laughter. Father, do you really believe these people's nonsense? How could this good-for-nothing be the Ghost Emperor? He has no strength at all, and it's impossible for him to subdue a celestial spirit master as his subordinate. I think there must be some shady deal between them. Anyway, I heard that many men in the secular world are attracted to men. This good-for-nothing is good-looking. He must have used his to make the celestial spirit master lie for him so that you will regret it. She glanced at Yun Xiao disdainfully. Her eyes seemed to be telling Yun Xiao that she had already seen through everything. Lin Qiong was dumbfounded. He widened his eyes and looked at the self-righteous Lin Yu in surprise. He really did not know where this woman got the courage to slander his master with this kind of thing. Was there something wrong with her head? Xiao Yuqing had not recovered from the shock just now. When he heard his mother's words, he turned his head in surprise. There was a trace of doubt in his cold eyes. He knew that his mother did not like Yun Xiao. Even he did not like this man, let alone his mother. However, he did not expect that his mother would say such words in public. This was not in line with her usual character, so he could not help but doubt her. Lin Yu was obviously mad with anger. She definitely could not let the Xiao family believe this man's nonsense. Otherwise, she would lose her position in the Xiao family in the future. It was because of this mentality that she stood up and said such self-righteous words. Lin Qiong. Lin Qiong was thinking about how to torture this woman. Suddenly, a cold, knife-like voice came from behind. This voice made him tremble all over. He answered with a trembling voice, "Master? You are wasting too much time." The man's deep voice was filled with dissatisfaction, which made Lin Qiong's back break out in a cold sweat and her whole body tremble. "Master, Please give me another chance. I will handle this matter properly. Lin Qiong bit her lips and said, "Get out of my way." The man's tone left no room for doubt. Lin Qiong was so scared that she hurriedly made way for him. 10 years ago. Yun Zhao's grim gaze fell upon Lin Yu as he spoke expressionlessly. "You threw me into the forest of no return." Lin Yu shuddered. "You're talking nonsense." She absolutely could not let anyone know about this. However, Yun Xiao didn't seem to hear her words and continued to speak. 10 years later, you humiliated my woman." Although Lin Yu didn't jump out to insult Yun Luofeng, she used Ling Yao's mouth to say everything she wanted to say. Just based on this point alone, Yun Xiao would never forgive her. "No matter how you insult me, I can ignore you. However, I won't allow anyone to bully her." Chapter 413. Yun Xiao slowly walked towards Lin Yu as a sharp glint flashed across his grim eyes. "Stop!" Xiao Yuqing panicked and hurriedly stood in front of Lin Yu. Her clear and cold eyes stared icily at Yun Xiao, who was walking towards them. "Logically speaking, I should call you elder brother, but I think that you don't want me to call you that, so I won't be so despicable. However, the one who humiliated me was Ling Yao, not my mother. The person you should be dealing with is her." No matter how much he doubted Lin Yu, she was still his mother and he would never allow anyone to hurt his mother. Furthermore, Ling Yao was indeed the one who humiliated Yun Luofeng. His mother was innocent. Scram! Yun Xiao shouted coldly as he spoke with a cold expression. Xiao Yuqing's gaze was as cold as ever. "I won't allow you to hurt my mother." Joy flashed across Lin Yu's eyes when she saw the figure in front of her. "Yuqing, this good-for-nothing wants to hurt me. Kill him now and let him see the difference between a genius from the Xiao family and a good-for-nothing like him." A good-for-nothing. Her own son could kill him with a single slap. She wondered what kind of ability he had to be so insolent here. "Get lost." Yun Zhao's voice was deep and low. At the same time as he said that, his palm wind also shot out. Smith. The palm landed on Xiao Yuqing's chest. Xiao Yuqing's pupils instantly shrank and his entire body flew out like a rocket. With a bang, he smashed into an ancient tree. Then, the ancient tree collapsed with a loud bang and smashed into his body. Xiao Yuqing spat out a mouthful of blood and his handsome face turned pale. He wanted to push the ancient tree that was crushing him, but the ancient tree was like a huge mountain that prevented him from moving. Everyone's expressions froze. The most obvious was the group from the Xiao family. They looked dazed and clearly did not know what had happened. "Ha!" Wei Lianqing was the first to react. He burst into laughter and his smile was filled with delight. "What a good-for-nothing from the Xiao family. I really don't know where you get your confidence from to think that Xiao Yuqing is more outstanding than him." In the end, Xiao Yuqing couldn't even resist a single palm from him. "Ah, I'm so amused." His expression was full of schadenfreude. He was probably rejoicing that he came to the Xiao clan today. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to see such a good show. Xiao Lin and Xiao Chen's faces were filled with astonishment. They had never thought that this guy was no longer trash. Moreover, he was stronger than Xiao Yuqing? Was he really the famous Ghost Emperor? As members of the three great families of Spirit Realm, they definitely knew the Ghost Emperor better than Gao Ling and the others. After all, after the Ghost Emperor became famous, they had sent experts from their clan to investigate the situation, but none of them returned. From this, it could be seen just how powerful the Ghost Emperor was. Even among his subordinates, there were quite a few mid-level heavenly spirit beings. One had to know that the family heads of the Xiao and Ling families were only mid-level heavenly spirit beings. Compared to the astonishment of the Xiao family's father and son, Lin Yu's expression was distorted, and her eyes were filled with malevolence. Yu Qing was the most outstanding one. What did this trash count as? She would not allow anyone in Spirit Realm to surpass Yu Qing, especially this trash. "Brat, you think you can do whatever you want just because you're the Ghost Emperor? Don't forget, you're also a member of the Xiao family. Your soul jade token is in the hands of the Xiao family. If the Xiao family wants you dead, you must die."